Yeah.
Have it?
You, yes,
Find it?
I think.
I just have this old one, this one here. And
Oh.
I think that's the old one.
That's the old one.
Yeah.
Um,
In fact, that's the one you sent me, or is that the new one?
I think that's a new one.
Okay, okay.
I don't think there's a newer one than that.
Did they not do, I thought they did another.
That is the new one.
That's
Oh,
new.
perfect.
That is the new
I'll
one.
just
The
pull that one
different
up.
colors.
Yeah.
That's the new
I'll
one.
pull that one up.
Morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Morning, Terry.
Hi, Terry. How we doing?
Good.
Better now that you're here.
Liar.
Liar.
Where'd they go?
They
Well, I'll
haven't-
open the
was easy
Unless
enough.
you want to pray. Do you want to pledge?
No.
Okay.
Or I could.
Ellen wants to pray.
Do you want to pray?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, you're good.
Fine.
You're good. I just didn't want you to be left out.
I never feel left out. That's the one thing about me.
That's me.
No,
I don't get too
I
wound up.
never get down. You don't have to.
Are we?
You're rolling.
Excellent. Good morning, everybody. Today's Monday, the 13th of December. If y'all are doing a 12 days of Christmas type activity that gets started tonight, you've got to get that moving. My screen left me. So, good morning. We're glad to have everybody here. We're going to start out this morning with our Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer. I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning. Commissioner Cousins will lead us, have an invocation for us. Everybody please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, as we gather this morning in this Iron County Commission meeting, we express our gratitude for our many wonderful blessings, for the favorable circumstances we find ourselves in, and for this beautiful county we live in. We're so very grateful for the blessings we receive, for the moisture we've recently received, and for the goodness that springs to the land. We pray that we may continue to receive snow on our mountains and moisture that will sustain us through this next year. We are grateful for the opportunity we have as citizens to govern ourselves in such a fashion. We pray that thy Spirit will be here to guide and direct us in our deliberations and actions that will do what's right for Iron County. We are mindful of those at this time of year, for those in need, and pray that each of us may be on the lookout for those who are in need of help and assistance. We're mindful of those who are suffering from illness, and pray that thy blessings will be with them. We are also mindful of those in the country who have suffered natural disasters and loss of homes and lives, and pray that that would comfort and be with those individuals at this time. We are grateful once again for all that we have and enjoy. We are grateful for our county employees, especially our frontline and first responders, and pray that thy blessings will be with them and keep them safe in their duties and responsibilities. And once again, we ask that thy blessings will be with us this day, that we may have a great day, and that thou would watch over and protect us. And we offer this prayer humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, we've got our minutes from, I'll get my old man reading glasses. We've got our minutes from our November 22nd, 2021 meeting. Do we have any comment, updates, anything?
Had a couple of changes, and I think John made those.
Got those taken care of?
Yep.
I'll move to approve the minutes of November 22nd, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there just one signing spot on this one, John?
Really is, yeah.
Fantastic. Just don't want to leave something out.
Someday you can explain to us why we have a lot in some meetings and not so much in others.
Has to do with your resolutions and ordinances.
Does it? Okay. I understand that one of these days.
All right.
Should we-
Let's go move on to the approval for claims for payment for November 22nd, 2021 to December 12th, 2021.
I'd move for approval of claims for payments from November 22nd, 2021 to December 12th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those are approved. All right, we'll move on to our departmental reports. Start out this morning with our illustrious building and zoning guy. Had to look that word up before we came.
I suddenly thought it was me.
I saw Rich perk up.
He said, you said illustrious, and I pointed to him, tapping on his shoulder, and he was going to come up.
You almost
almost got me.
I'm gonna get my thesaurus out and find a new description for you, Rich.
I'm not allowed to talk because I'm kind of boring. No, we won't do that. All right. Good morning, commissioners. It's good to be here. Nice warm morning out there. We got some sunshine. I think I gave everyone a copy of this. We're going to do the simplified version. We're not going to go over it all. But at the first page, we've issued a total of 618 permits so far in 2021. Last year, in the end of 2020, we had issued 497. So you can see a big increase this year. We have been busy running like crazy trying to keep up with stuff. We have done plan reviews for 674 projects this year compared to 356 projects last year. Doubled almost.
Holy cow!
Wow.
So it's busy.
Busy boy.
And it's not like it's the first time we've seen these numbers, but every time,
It just keeps going. So
it's getting bigger.
We stay running. This next line, we have completed 3,952 inspections this year compared to 3,559 last year. A lot of running, a lot of chasing, a lot of building going around the county, which is good to see. We like the growth. So we've got that. This next page kind of breaks down where the permits were issued. The top one is just the county portion only. In December, we issued 45 permits so far in December. Year to date is 400. Just looking, there's 478 just in the county this year. Last year, end to date, was 357 in the county. So we're up a whole bunch there. Heroin, we issued 4 in December so far, 64 year to date, and then year to date last year was 54. Bryan Head Town, 2 this month, 34 year to date, and 28 last year. Canaryville was 2 this month, 12 year to date, and 8 last year. Paraguna is 1 and 8 and 8. So Paraguna, we don't see a whole lot there because kind of limited on their land where they have. That's the last page is just our normal breakdown. I'm not going to hit everything. I want to hit that top section for income. The first column is 2020. Down there in the middle section of that, it says $25,824,928. That's our value for the year with $436,000 brought in. This year, our valuation is $43,513,392,000, with total fees brought in at $661,822.
Ooh.
I'm going to leave the rest of that page for you to give you some light reading just to see numbers. The numbers are up a whole bunch with a lot of stuff going on. We've got a lot of commercial, a lot of industrial stuff that have been in visiting and talking with us, working on plans for some development out by Iron Springs in that area, a lot of commercial and industrial. So some plans to bring some big stuff back in. So that's kind of where we're at, is we're running. A lot going on. The planning subdivision side has slowed down a little bit, so we're working on some subdivision stuff, or some zoning and ordinance change stuff to try to bring in some affordable housing type stuff. Reid will go over a few things that he's got this afternoon on the agenda. So, any questions? Anything I need to do?
You better go get to work. You're too busy to be here.
I left the other 2 guys over there. They had a stack this tall this morning.
I bet.
I says, I'm going to Heroin. Fairground, Commissioner Cousins is aware we have the bleachers been delivered. They're covered up at the road shed department in that yard. We got those bleachers delivered a couple weeks ago. We have both buildings delivered now on site, so we're trying to get some encouragement behind contractors to get buildings going. So, and the grandstands, the new bleachers, we have footings dug, trying to get them on site to get them going. So we're working with that.
Just, I was going to report on that, but I'll just talk about it now.
Okay.
I talked to Carter Enterprises, and they did dig the footings, and I think I haven't been over there this morning to look, but I think they said they were going to blanket the footings so they don't fill with ice and snow. But they asked me, they're really busy right now finishing up some other projects, and Chad asked me if they could maybe delay that a little bit till weather clears up a bit. It maybe, so maybe even spring. And I said, well, look, and I called the bleacher company, and they're okay with it. They're okay with installing those
You're
bleachers
okay.
whenever.
All right.
But I did ask Carter's if they could erect that other building.
Yes.
If they could erect that, he said they've got another one to do 3 weeks. In about 3 weeks, they could start on that one,
Okay.
and it'd take about 3 weeks. I asked him if they could do that so we could put all of our materials, the bleachers and the building stuff, so it's not sitting around, so it doesn't walk off.
Oh, good idea.
So they could put all in there. We could lock it up
Good. No,
until
I like that.
until they use it. So
No, that's good. Like our
Get
concern
it out
was
of
is
the road department.
out of the road department and get so it's kind of enclosed and protected so it doesn't
Right.
walk away.
and all you got on the bleachers were just the aluminum parts. There's a whole nother semi coming with the steel bases.
Oh,
So that's only half of
so
it.
that's only the seats and
And those are in Texas. So and
that's a good place for them.
Yeah, and I guess after we get that other building erected, we can ask. We could have those shipped up.
Yeah,
but-
So we just got those, and they're covered up and protected. We go by occasionally just to make sure that we haven't got them uncovered and stuff, and protect them. That's good to know. Yeah, it's tough right now to do concrete anyway with it so cold.
I told Lester, but I don't
size.
think I got the word to you. Sorry about that.
That's fine. No, that's fine. 'Cause we did talk, so no, we're good there. Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
If
you.
there is, you've got my phone number. I
Yes,
might
we
answer
do.
my phone. I might not. No, if there's anything else we can do, let us know.
Okay, thanks, Terry.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Terry.
Rich, I was listening to Terry. I didn't come up with anything witty for you this morning.
I thought I'd beat you before you came up with a word.
The intrepid Richard Wilson.
Okay. Did you get my email? Can you, since I was unable to report the last time we missed a quarter, I thought we'd kind of highlight the last 6 months rather than the last quarter. I sent John an email, which you all will enjoy, a fond walk down memory lane. Is it coming up, John? Go ahead and
Oh,
hit
my.
play. It should play. This is Center Street and this is Center Street in Paraguna. There's that little box culvert we went and looked at a
It's
few
very
weeks later.
colorful.
I know.
Red.
So as you're all aware, we had monsoon season in spades this year. So there's been a lot of things going on continuously since then. I won't revisit all of them, but I did want to talk about we've cleaned up about 25 miles of ditch, and a lot of it was just needed to clear what was left behind from the monsoon season. A lot of silt was left in the Stevensville ditch, which is the other end of Coal Creek. We worked on Quichapaw, and we worked on the ditch in Paraguna, which we're going to continue to improve. Through the generosity of Ted Cook, we were able to take 2 right curves out of the ditch there on the north side of where we saw that flooding just about a half mile up, which we hope will improve. Curtis is actually headed up to Paraguna next week. He was going to try to get there this week. But we continue to deal with some of those issues. Right now, we're working on the Uri Bridge, stabilizing it.
Up Right-Hand Canyon.
Up Right-Hand Canyon. We took out the base this last week so that we could re-pour it, and we'll drop it down at least a foot, if not 2 feet, so we can get a front-end loader through there. He filled in probably a 15, 20-foot drop on the north side of the Uri Bridge where it had just literally eroded out. Those people who have driven up Right-Hand Canyon can see the boulder field that was left behind. So we've been doing that. We've been down in Canaraville cleaning up, picking up some of those ditches as well. And the last ditch that is on my mind is the Schertz Creek. We still need to figure out ownership along there and what we're going to do. I thought the county owned it, but after contracting with Platt and Platt, they came back and said that our county tax map is just showing an error of space that seemed to indicate that it was county property. It made me excited for a couple of days because I wouldn't have to ask permission when it's county property. But so we have some other projects that are going that way in Parawan, out here to the west of the interstate. We had some work that we had just finished up, literally torn out of the ground. Those 5-foot culverts were removed by the flooding, which I made the decision not to visit that again, and so we put concrete headers in ahead of that. And if they move, we've really had some serious trouble. I wish I had a picture of those today for you. Let's go down here.
I was up there after the storm, and I took a picture. You want me to send it to John, have him throw it there?
I have pictures I can send to John before and afters
Okay.
if you'd like to see them posted. And I can work on that in a minute after my report while the intrepid landfill is up here. Bruce, how do you like that word, Commissioner Intrepid?
I love it.
So, Bruce will be up in a minute. On the last time we met, which was back in June, we thought the plotter in our office wasn't working. We got the plotter working, which is great. And so we're going to just look for a large scanner. If we can keep them separate, we don't have the problem of one system or the other system going belly up, which then affects the working part. We do have a desk scanner now, which I have a new assistant. Those of you who haven't met Heather, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Can you imagine whose that is?
Yes.
Okay,
And it's your
we'll
wife,
ignore it.
too.
No, I talked to Michelle before I got here. We'll just ignore it. You take care of that, Bruce.
Oh, it's gone.
Okay.
Oh.
Doggone thing. I can't go to one of these meetings that my phone doesn't go off. Fortunately, I haven't been fined in a court yet for it. I had it taken away at a state high council meeting by the state president once. All right, so let's move forward. So some office things. Anyway, we hired Heather Wyman, as you're aware, and she is doing a great job figuring out what's going on. Very, very capable. Last week, I'll explain what you signed for.
There's the pictures I took right after the morning after the storm of the bridge. Looks really good.
It does. Oh, yeah, I was going to say,
Where is the
that was
bridge?
not the morning after the storm.
No.
This last,
The last storm.
Last storm, the snow.
Oh, it's not.
Brandon's tending things for you.
Anyway, I don't know why. I specifically
Should be
turned this thing off.
I have
before
one
I came
from
in
under
this
the
meeting.
bridge, but it's maybe it hasn't.
I know. That'll work. All right, so just to further explain what you all signed last week, you signed for a $100,000 grant that we're going to utilize to study the corridor for the belt route. I've applied for a grant for access to the belt route corridor, particularly looking at the 7 intersections that are a big deal, like 56, Lund Highway, Minersville Road, 48, 4000, 32. These are all intersections that are going to create potential issues if we don't plan for them. Especially with development pushing to the west, we're going to have people start to encroach more and more into the proposed corridor, and that's not going to be helpful to them or to us if we haven't planned for it.
Rich, there's a one underneath.
Yeah, and that's what Curtis did this last week. As you can see, all the concrete's out. We're gonna try to get in there and pour that. Our plan is to do it Wednesday, but if the weather is not agreeable, and with pouring it, we'll make it level so that it can clear it easier. Right now, previously we weren't able to get a front end loader in there. We lacked about a foot, and the smoothness of that.
He's put a lot of material in there, hasn't he? I mean, there's a lot of boulders that he's filled that in. Because didn't that drop 20 feet on the outflow?
Oh yeah. What you're looking at is looking north,
Right.
and as you walk to the edge, it was a 20-foot drop behind that for a good 150 feet. And he's filled all that in just with material that was brought down from above.
Brent Hunter might send us a bill for all that material that he sent down from his place, right, Brandon? What?
We'll haul that back up.
Well, you have to talk to Phil Smet. He was asking whose it was and whether he could come and haul some of it away for crushing. I told him he couldn't have
Your
it.
dad said there was rocks washed down the biggest cars off your place, right?
Well, Curtis was channeling through. We got a Mini X with a hammer on the front, and he hit a piece of iron, and he says he was pounding away on that piece of iron when all of a sudden sparks started to fly, and he had flame, and he said, I lost about 4 inches of that hammer.
Wow.
He hit some pretty hard stuff up there. I think he was hitting some stuff that was probably the miners would have loved to have taken to the smelter 100 years ago. Well, commissioners, things are going well. We look forward to 2022 and continuing these projects. Like I said, we have a few ditches we'll be working on. Church Creek needs to be finished, and we need to decide what we're going to do there behind those homes on 1400 South. Good news is, as some of you have seen, we do have a topo of Quichapa for the that we were able to put together inside the county resources, which is a huge savings. We have 1-foot contours out around Quichapa. We'll be with the assistance of the zoning department. We'll be coming to you with an ordinance of a building plan for building around Quichapa and hopefully protect people's properties from flooding in the future. Any questions? Anything you want me to do different? Anything better? Any suggestions?
No.
I'd like to point out that we have some really high-end graffiti there. Somebody wrote the Pythagorean theorem on the side of that bridge. Impressive.
Yeah, don't look at the other side because we wouldn't want to
I'm sure
repeat
there's
what was said
the
there.
typical, but Pythagorean theorem there. So
Yeah, I noticed that the first thing when I walked in there. Yeah. A squared plus B squared does equal C squared.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you for all your work.
Yeah,
The-
we appreciate what you're doing.
You got here right in the nick of time to step right in it, neck deep.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your support. It's appreciated as well.
Thanks, Rich.
Curtis, I saw you come. Come on down. Like I saw you come in. Thank you.
sir.
Well, just a report that the both the Cedar and the Heroin centers are doing well and they're full operations. Just to give you an idea, we're just really growing, more so than we ever have. For example, presently in the Cedar area, we're providing about 130 meals on wheels and about 40 congregate meals per day or per servings. Thanksgiving, for example, we did go up to 130 meals. In the Heroin area, we're providing about 60 meals on wheels and about 30 congregate meals. These meals requests are growing each week, more all the time. Give you an idea, we're probably about 60% higher than we were before the pandemic. And so I don't know if that has anything to do with it or people moving in or what it is, but we've just really been growing in those kind of numbers. This is an unprecedented demand on our meal service resources, not only budget-wise, but it's also taking the kitchen staff longer to prepare meals and more volunteer hours as well. For example, our Meals on Wheel volunteer delivery drivers that normally would take 1 to 1.5 hours to do the deliveries. Now it's taking around 3 hours. And so because of that, I sent you a copy of it, but we sent a letter out to the Meals on Wheel participants asking them to that we wanted to adhere strictly to the requirements for the Meals on Wheels. There are specific requirements through the state of Utah and federal government. And over the years, we've, got a little lax on it and a little gray area. And so we sent that out a couple of weeks ago, asking those that really did not did not adhere to those to drop out. And we did have about 20 drop out in the past week. That really made a big difference for us. There's a lot of people that really didn't belong there, and there still are some, but that's certainly eased it up for us a lot. Just a report on some inspections to give you an idea. We have unannounced audits and inspections by the 5 county each month, as well as the state health department twice a year. About every 4 to 6 years, we have a big inspection by the state of Utah. They're combined with the officials from the 5 counties, so both groups come down at the same time. Last month, we had this inspection in the Cedar Center. It's been over 6 years since they had had the big inspection, mostly because of the COVID situation. They spent the day going over everything. They looked through our computer reports and compared them to copies on file. They went through the kitchen with a fine-tooth comb. They inspected cupboards, drawers, storage rooms. They looked for cleanliness, organization. They looked for outdated food containers or anything they can find. They went on the delivery with our Meals on Wheel drivers to see about our procedures, driving safety and conditions of the vehicles. They inspected the building. They visited with seniors to ask them what they thought about it. They ate lunch to inspect the nutrition and the meals and the portions and that type of thing. They had a lot of suggestions for us to be on the lookout for areas that they had found in other senior centers throughout the state. However, the only thing that they could find for us was to encourage our Meals on Wheels participants to put ice in their coolers for those few of them that have containers on their front porch. And so overall that went really well. They couldn't find anything that had any problems with. Maybe we'll report on our vehicles. All vehicles are in good shape, no problems. The only problem we did have this past year was the hot and cold containers on the Meals on Wheel trucks. For some reason, they all started to go out just one after another, and it took weeks to find out where we could find the parts and how to get it fixed and that type of thing. Out of our 5 Meals on Wheel trucks, we had to repair 4 of them this past year. They all had the same problem, but we got it taken care of. We also have 3 new Meals on Wheel trucks on order since last January. They've been manufactured. They've been sent to the Delivery Concepts in Indiana, it's the only company in the United States, there's only one, where they put those hot and cold containers on. And I called them about 3 weeks ago, and they said they were pretty well done and ready for shipment. So I was kind of expected maybe to get those in January. Buildings, all are maintained, doing well. We still have a little issue in that new north wing basement floor. There's no pipes under or anything, but we've had it leak, water leaking up. We had it leaking in the northwest corner. Now it's moved over to the middle. I can't understand that at all. So I'm keeping an eye to see what this storm does when it starts to melt.
So Terry, there was a triangular piece that was just dirt
Yeah.
right there by the stairwell coming down. We poured that full of concrete,
Yeah.
and that we thought that solved it, right?
Yeah, but
It's driving me crazy. I don't understand where that water's
I
coming
don't
from.
either. We've checked the rain gutters to make sure that they're all flowing correctly and that type of thing.
Terry,
But
before our warranty runs out on that building, which is going to be probably what, January, February? Could you get with our contractor and just tell him we've got to? I don't know where this
Yeah, I'll get Nate or Lester to go meet with them and go through that.
I mean, there's no water lines that could be leaking underneath. There's no water lines underneath
sewer
it.
line, no water line, anything. It was leaking in that northwest corner building, and I thought that maybe the water was just there for just.
We
hadn't
thought it was
dried
coming
up.
down through that dirt, and that seemed to help there, right?
Now it's over to the middle. It was leaking there. You can see where the white glue has come up through the
flooring.
seam. So it's baffling.
Are we talking, because we got the existing building, we got that north
It's the new building.
out
It's
here,
right.
on the northwest
You know
corner.
where the stairwell comes out the second story on our new addition? It's right. That was where it was leaking. Is right in that northwest corner. Now it's migrated to the middle.
The middle, for some reason. I had some people doing exercise classes say, "Well, it's just flooding down here," and I went down. I couldn't really see it. If you step on it and kind of put pressure on those seams, then it kind of seep up a little bit.
But it's on the north, along that north wall.
It's all well beyond the west.
On the north and the west walls.
yeah.
Right along the walls.
Right.
Come on outside. We'll look into it. It might not be sealed right, so
Okay,
I'll get him out there.
that'd be good.
There, so
Ought to be-
now you get with the contractor.
Yes, I don't know what that will do to the building in the long run. We kind of need to figure it out.
Well, it's not going to hurt the building, but it could eventually. I mean, the flooring's waterproof, but there could be some mold or something if it continues.
We'll look into that and see what we can find out. We might have to get them to look at that, because with the excavation, the grading was good on it. So we'll
Yeah, it
see.
all slopes away. I just don't.
It's
It's
baffling.
baffling.
How long ago did it start?
It's been that way since the beginning.
Yeah, since it's
last
yep,
spring. Yeah.
since we finished it.
Okay, we'll go
Yeah.
look at it.
Okay, thank you. But that's other than that, buildings are all doing well, and maybe we'll report on activities. Their participation's increasing. We're just using that building. It's just lots of activities. We recently, last couple of months, added a couple of new ones, chair yoga, and that's just what it sounds like. It's for handicapped and people that cannot otherwise do exercises. This is taught by a official qualified person does that. Also, we have started a new weight loss support group and a Parkinson's support group. Staffing, we've been really good until just recently. We've had two of the cooks in Cedar give their notice. They're both wanting to retire, and so we're trying to hire two assistant cooks there. Budget, we've been below budget or meeting all of our needs so far, and other than that, everything's doing well. Any questions or suggestions or anything like that?
No, again, thank you. It's such a great asset to the folks in the community.
Oh,
and
really
you,
is.
you keep it moving. I
It's
really
really-
appreciate
Well,
it.
and
Loving
that's
it, yeah.
that's a great attribute that inspection went so well, because that's you. I mean, and we appreciate that. You know, that inspection. I used to have inspections in my younger years, and I understand that, and it's nerve-wracking, but to come out of an inspection that great, that's really a
Well, thank you.
tribute to you.
Well, we appreciate all your help. Mike.
Even with your food demand increase, you're still under budget. That's
It probably will. We did increase it in 2022, so I'm hoping that we can do okay. It's just you never know until after it's done, and so we're watching it real close.
That's awesome. Good job.
So far this year, we came out okay, but then
So are you all right in Parowan too? You thought that you didn't have the help that you needed in
yeah,
Parowan?
we're staffed.
You're
in
doing good
Parowan
now?
just fine. Yeah, everything's doing really well in Parowan. So
Good.
yeah. Well, thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Landfill. The Intrepid.
I was thinking Intrepid's better.
Let's welcome the king of the dump.
The magnanimous. Thank you. Very generous. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me over. I guess we'll go to this first sheet. This is just a snapshot of 2021. The second paper is 2020, and the third one is 2019. And that just kind of shows the growth that we've had over the last 3 years. This is all as of December 12th, like yesterday. You can see there's quite a bit more tonnage than in years past. And we've also, you can see down here on the report grand totals tickets have gone up. There was 34,000 last year, and there's 42,000 this year. That means there's that many more people coming through the gate. So a lot of with that, there was a lot of that came from Enoch and Cedar and the floods, because there was a lot more people coming through. Any questions on that? It just shows where the money's coming from. And
We're growing.
yeah, we're doing good. On this next paper, our re-permit process is getting closer. I sent a letter to the state explaining the benefits to Iron County last Wednesday. We'll see. We're still in the limbo there, but I think it'll happen. The Doug Taylor is the guy that regulates Iron County, and he's on board with it. We've just got to get his bosses on board. And then we have our engineer is, I forgot his name, Brett Mickelson, and he's on board. So we just got to get it. I think they're just kind of flexing their muscles, showing that they can. But hopefully that'll go in the next month or two, be able to pass for that re-permit. And that's a huge thing for Iron County. All our employees are healthy and working. We got one out with a new baby, but everybody's healthy. Our budget's on track, except for the vehicle maintenance, and our fuel is going to be behind a little bit. We went over in both of them.
Had some big repairs, right?
Yeah. We had an engine go out in the 950, and then we had a broken rear end in the compactor. So they were huge. Our track hoe came.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and it's nice. Works good. It's
Tried it out, huh?
yeah. We've been using it for a couple of days. It's nice. It's a good one.
Does it have a thumb on it, Bruce?
It was what?
Does it have a thumb on it?
Has a thumb on it at 1,234 hours. And so yeah, it's a good one.
Is it a 320?
320. Yep.
Good.
And then just this probably the last 3 weeks, the sewer plant out, they got so much mud from Enoch that we just took that. We're going to use it for cover dirt, that mud that came through there. They finally got the last of it out. They dried it out for a while in their drying beds, and they brought it out to us. But we had about 300 additional tons that we brought out, and it's sitting on top, and we're going to use it for cover. But it filled the sewer pipes with mud, and it took that long to get it out.
So that's a win for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
they'll
good
haul it
for
up
us.
where you need it, and you
Yep.
can use it to cover.
Yep, we can use it for cover dirt. So it was a win-win for both of us. So I talked to Marilyn, and it seemed like a good idea. We are hoping that in December that we can get through and go take the tops off of them, the overburdened piles at the Quichpaw Channel, so Casey can get his four-wheeler down there. We'll use that 6 to go along the top there.
Oh. Is it dried out enough?
Yeah, we was hoping to get maybe a little more moisture in there so it packed it down a little better.
It was pretty gooey when we
Yeah.
pulled it out.
Yeah, that's about it, just trucking on. Any questions?
Thanks for all your good
Thank you.
work.
Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas.
You
Thanks.
too.
2. Loads. Just have Preston now.
That's the best of all the game.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we don't have a ton of stuff going on at the roads. We're just still cleaning up after the floods a little bit. That's kind of hit and miss now. We've been out on the Hart Road. We've got about 2 miles of subgrade done, and right now the trucks are today and probably tomorrow will be hauling on the Pinto Road. It really got mucked out after the floods, so.
Yeah.
Be doing that, and then after that we're looking ahead into next year. We'll go back out to the Hart Road and finish the subgrade. We got about a half a mile of subgrade left, and then we'll start placing our gravel. Hopefully we'll be doing some more snow plowing. Sounds like tomorrow.
Hopefully a whole bunch.
We'll get some, and then it looks like closer to Christmas there's some more storms starting to show up. So,
Yep.
and then other than that we'll be bidding, getting our bids and stuff in the next year, so for patching and chipping. You got any other questions?
When are you on the Lund Highway? When does that look like that's gonna come about, or are they
As far as the other
the solar
contractors doing that,
people doing that?
I don't know. We had
Richard right there.
I got an email saying there's a meeting on Thursday for that.
Right.
This Thursday.
Say, they still want to go ahead with that project. It got delayed. Preston and I looked at it. It wasn't as.
They had a different idea
What it was
what
supposed
to do
be,
than.
which I was in that first meeting, and I didn't think that, I thought that they understood it, but obviously they
The
didn't.
way I'd written the MOU, it was pretty clear that they needed
Yeah.
a sub-base going down. So it
Yeah.
wasn't just a handshake. It had
Yeah.
some documentation behind it.
Yeah, thank goodness.
So that sounds like we'll have a better idea on after Thursday on that. But
How many
I would
total
think
loads?
in the spring.
Sorry.
Probably when the chip plant opens again, they'll be out there.
How many total loads have you hauled out of Flying Hill?
I don't know. Dan asked me. I'm guessing around 1,200 loads. So
Just out of Flying Nail, or
yeah, I would say out
maybe
of.
a little
I
more
was
than that.
tracking it for a long time, and then once they didn't get the money for it, then I stopped. But I would say 1,200 times. You're probably talking 12 yards per truck. So quite a
lot.
bit. Yeah,
It was a lot.
about 15,000, probably around 15,000 yards of material.
Wow. Did that subdivision take most of it? And
Oh yeah,
down the road,
Yeah,
that worked out good, didn't it?
yeah. It got
To the
where we
north
put it at.
too. To
Yeah,
the
they
north
took a lot
too,
of it.
right?
Good.
Have you got it all cleared up?
For the most part.
1,700.
They're down there today getting some out of Flying Nail. It's just random. Most people have got their yards basically cleaned up, but there's still people working
few.
on. It's just a day here, a day there now. So,
Yeah,
That's good.
that's good.
and even if you drive down there, they're looking a lot better down there. Some people
yeah.
have their yards all the way back, and it's just looking a lot
Nice.
That's
lot
good.
cleaner. That's a dang mess. That
was a
stuff made a mess, and that silt. It's pretty hard to clean it up. So,
It is. Yep.
too bad.
Yep.
Anything else?
No.
Thank
Right.
you
Merry
for all
Christmas.
of
Appreciate you.
that's
Thank
been
you.
a
Thank
that
you.
was a rough last year, and we appreciate everything that you did. And
We'll be glad
And
that
the road
we hope
department.
that doesn't happen again, right?
no, exactly.
All right, thank
He
you.
does, it's Rich's fault.
I'm glad you think I'm so powerful.
Commissioner Cousins, you want to go first today?
Well, we've covered a couple that I was going to talk about with our reports. I would like to announce, so Ken Ivory is a former state legislator, really a great guy. He's going to be speaking in St. George on the 12th of January about this new 30 by 30 rule. It's very concerning policy about the federal government. They want to take, I think by 2030, they want to take 30% of our land and waters and lock them up so they're unusable. And it's extremely concerning. Ken Ivory's going to do a presentation on the 13th of January at the Festival Hall. It should be in that, I can't remember, is it room, what is that room on the north end, that big one? Is it 7?
Big
Room 7.
Room 7. And we're still trying to nail down a time. Cimbria Patterson has a conference, a farm food conference at that same time, and so she might want to have it early that evening. So it might be as early as 5 o'clock, but I'll be getting some stuff out on social media and some announcements. But we would like, Farm Bureau to come. I talked to Scott Stubbs. He's interested in inviting his group, your group, and I go to that too sometimes, and other groups to come. But we would like a good turnout. There are just some things the federal government's planning that are quite frightening, to be frank, and so that's one of the things that we need to have on our radar. Like Rich said, I was out talking to Matt Rhodes and Richard Abbott, his father-in-law, about those flooding issues. I think we're getting some good resolutions. We're going to have Curtis go back out as soon as he's done up right hand and keep working on those. Dennis Johnson. And I didn't see that on the. Did we have that on the agenda? Anyway, he's upgraded his snowcat. I'm not sure we have to approve that, do we?
No, I think that was.
I don't think we do.
His budget.
Yeah, it's budgeted, so we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, Dennis Johnson traded in his old snowcat. I think it was 27 years old, and upgraded it to a newer, and found a really good deal on KSL.com, and made that transaction this last week to help him. He used that snowcat to access these towers on these high peaks in the wintertime, which is helpful for him. One other quick thing. So we have a bee infestation at the Burrell Fire Station. They've gotten up into the eaves and down into the walls, and I called Blaine Ney, our resident bee expert, and we're going to go out probably in March. He said it would be the best time. Probably remove sheetrock on the south and north. Somebody talked about taking the stucco down, but that's so hard to patch. We'll remove the sheetrock on the inside of that building, and he'll extract those bees, and then we'll try to get that sealed up better. For some reason, when that addition was built, there was no soffit and fascia. The rain gutter was installed, but there's no soffit and fascia put on, and I just don't understand why that was never done. But so we'll try to get a contractor out there to finish up that soffit and fascia and get that sealed up better so the bees don't go in there again. But that's all I have.
You want to go first?
Nope.
No.
I left you out earlier in the meeting.
Okay. So on December 1st, we had a meeting with the U.S. Forest Service and Kevin Wright. It was also with the producers, the timber producers. There's a lot of different ones involved with contracting on the federal lands. It's very concerning because they have a hard time getting their product. These guys are trying to make a living. They're private companies trying to get that wood, a lot of it off of the Bryan Head Fire. I just don't understand it. It's just so hard for them to get their product off there. We had Jeff Middleton was there, Troy Pearson, some of the it was set up by Reg Johnson from PLIPCO, the Public Lands Policy Coordination Office, and we're just going to work on that and try to push them along. This new administration has been difficult to work with, and just like Paul said, those environmental groups that are suing for everything, they seem like they're quite emboldened, and it's going to make it hard for us counties that have a lot of public lands to be able to make livings and scratch out a living. On December 2nd, we had a Dry Lakes meeting with Wade had done a road study up there on Dry Lakes, and we went over that. We had so many issues with flooding and that we wasn't able to get through that. We did that over July 4th, the 2 weekends, through that a couple of weeks. Preston, of course, was there, and Grant Oxenrider, which is our sign guy, the mayor from Bryan Head, Clayton Calloway, and his manager, Brett Hauser, and David Burton, councilman, and also a cattleman that runs in that area. And so we talked about speeds. We went over it was very enlightening to see that road study because, it's easy to say, well, everybody's going 100 miles an hour. Well, there was some excessive speeds of like 58, probably on a four-wheeler. And Bryan Head's trying really hard to mitigate some of that by writing ordinances that they're not zipping back and forth. They go out onto the Forest Service and out on the private and county, and because there is a huge problem there in Bryan Head with the four-wheelers. We really, we need the Forest Service to allow us to make some new trails up on the forest so that we can get some of those four-wheelers dispersed out so that it's not, we just don't get the help. That way. Anyway, we're going to meet again in the spring and see other issues that we can talk about. There's a road that Preston and Bryan Head and them we're talking about maybe doing a little bit of work and helping them out some. After that meeting, I went over and talked to the sheriff, Ken Carpenter, and I just want to tell him I appreciate, he's so accessible, he's so easy to visit with, he's so open to you come in and visit with him. I asked him if he would maybe do a couple of 2 or 3 days during the next summer, some patrol up there so that maybe we can slow it down. Sometimes just having the presence a few times during the summer can help with that. And he would really like some help from the Forest Service. A lot of that is Forest Service, and I know their staff is all in the office, so there's not a lot out on the land. And so, but Ken was going to check with them and see if we can get some help with them to patrol that a little better too. On the 7th of December, the Central Iron County Water Conservancy District had a great meeting. Talking about the Pine Valley Water Project. And I just a shout out to them because they did such a wonderful job. The way that they put that on, it was just wonderful. They were so well prepared. They went over so many questions that people had given to them before, and then they took questions to email them. And Paul Monroe did such a great job on that, and those others that were on that board. Later on in that afternoon, we met with Babcock and Layton over the jail. We are still looking at other areas to, properties, and we just are going to move forward on that because we do need a new jail. down the road. So anyway, I think that's all on mine.
All right. I'm just going to take a second. Doing lots of economic development stuff still. Moving ahead with the inland port, we've kind of talked about that. Those things are still plugging along. I'm glad you brought up the Water Conservancy public information meeting the other night. It was really good. That was a record number of attendees in the Great Hall.
With standing room only. It was great.
It was. I got up and went out in the hall, so there. I'd heard most of it before, and so I was encouraging people to go in. And there's several people that were really kind of up on everything. We kind of moved out into the hallway to let more people get in that were interested. But the thing about that, so we've been talking with the jail issues and everything else. We've been trying to kind of figure out what's the best way to disseminate information to the public, and how can it be the most efficient, and knowing that there's a lot of things up in the air. We don't necessarily have a ton of information to share, but I was talking with Reid, our county planner, following that, and we kind of said, you know what, that was such a good venue that they did. We're going to move ahead with a similar public meeting. I talked with Dan. Dan's kind of he's our number cruncher and chief, making displays for the public guy.
A graph guy. He's kind of a graph guy.
I haven't spoken to the sheriff specifically about this, but I know we're on the same page. I've also spoken with all of the chiefs of police in Iron County to be involved in the process as we move forward. We're kind of getting to a point where we need that income and that input. But also, when we get to this public meeting, I think it's important to have representation, kind of like they did with the Water Conservancy, kind of a panel discussion.
Yep.
Involving the chiefs of police. And so we're going to, as soon as we're going to move that forward as quick as we can. After the first of the year.
January.
Yeah, we're going to get
Going.
as soon as we get the holidays over with, we'll move. But we're looking, toward the end of January to do that, where we can push out all of the information that we have, proposed sites. We are working on several different sites, but we have nothing locked down to where we can truthfully say this is what it is. There's a ton of stuff in the air, but I think that's important to get all of our information. And after seeing such a good community response to that meeting the other night, I think that's a great forum. I think that's a great format for us to move forward.
It was a really good format. There was no scream and holler, and very informational.
Right.
And got their questions answered.
Yeah, so we're going to do this. Unless we hit major roadblocks, which we won't. Looking at putting on a similar public forum, just to we'll get our ducks in a row, figure out exactly what we've got and where we're at, and we'll push that out. So look forward to that sometime toward the end of January. We'll get that organized. That's all I'm going to talk about today. Let's take 5 minutes. We have a huge agenda today. Let's get the things we need to. We can always get a couple of administrative things done before we start our next meeting that will help us move forward quicker. Let's take 10 minutes because we can't get it done in 5. Let's come back right at 10 after, and we'll start the 10 o'clock calendar and plug forward. Thank you, everybody.
Chelsea,
Oh, yeah.
I'll send you them. I think it's gonna be real good.
Okay, you're rolling.
All right. Okay, we're back on the 10 o'clock calendar. We're I got to find my old man reading glasses. We're going to move ahead on agenda item number 1, which is a public hearing, community development block grant, 2022 program. The 2022 program year, and this is the first public hearing notice. Reid, who talks?
Well, John, I think.
Is John going to talk about?
So, remember at this point, we don't actually talk about the project. This is.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes.
Project.
Okay.
We're announcing
Right.
Yes.
This funding is available and we're seeking the project.
Yes. So the community development block grant, yeah, it's a grant money, but we have to put out there that we're seeking funding for projects, and it's really specific. So bear with me for a moment. Iron County is eligible to apply to the Utah Department of Workforce Services for funding under the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Small Cities Program, a federally funded program administered by the State of Utah Housing and Community Development Division, HCD. Iron County may also sponsor the applications of non-governmental entities within its jurisdiction. The purpose of the public hearing is to provide citizens with pertinent information about the Community Development Block Grant Program and to allow for discussion of possible applications. This public hearing will cover eligible activities, program requirements, and expected funding allocations in the region. The CDBG program can fund a broad range of activities, including but not limited to construction of public works and facilities, e.g. water and sewer lines, fire stations, acquisition of real property, and provision of public services such as food banks or homeless shelters. In the event that Iron County chooses to apply for CDBG funding, a second public hearing will be held at a later time to discuss the project. Suggestions for potential projects will be solicited both verbally and in writing from all interested parties. The expected amount of CDBG funds for this program year will be discussed. The hearing will begin at 10 a.m. on Monday, January 24th, 2022. Further information can be obtained by contacting the Iron County Clerk, John Whitaker, at 435-477-8340. Auxiliary aids and services are available upon request to individuals with disabilities by calling, again, 435-477-8340. At least 3 working days prior to the meeting, individuals will receive speech and or hearing impairments may call the Relay Utah by dialing 711 or call toll-free TTY number 1-800-346-4128. Spanish Relay Utah 1-888-346-3162. Yes, it'll be here in this room. It'll be during a regular commission meeting. That's all we've got to do. Do we have to?
You declare a public hearing. So the purpose of this first CDBG public hearing is to receive comment for projects that the public may want to have Iron County pursue, and so though we may have a project in mind, we don't actually mention what that project is. The idea is that, and this is very strict on their part. It's a federally run program, and they want us to receive public comment regarding any projects that the public would like us to do.
Okay, I just didn't want. So we did this before, and we got the wording a tiny bit wrong, and we had to redo the whole process. I'm trying not to do that again. So
you read that verbatim just right, and then I think at this point the commission wants to open the public hearing, and then we'll receive comments, and then we'll have the second hearing later in
After,
January.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, public chair, or the chair declares the public hearing open for this agenda item. And we'll receive any comments. Seeing no comments, chair declares the public hearing closed, and we'll move forward in the process. Hopefully that makes them happy so we don't have to do it all again.
We don't have to vote on anything.
No, that was just to receive comment.
Item number 2 is a public hearing regarding amendments to the 2021 budget. We'll turn the time over to our auditor, Dan, to get us started down this process.
Okay, I understand that our treasurer has requested that I go long. No, so we had the public hearing on next year's budget last week, and this is a public hearing on the final adjustments of the current year budget, the 2021 financial year 2021 budget, and this is just the final chance that we have to amend the current year, and so I don't have a presentation. I'm just going to hit a couple of the highlights, and it's been on display in my office. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I have given a copy of just the summarized, just the adjustments only to the commissioners. But I'll just go over a few of them. Some of the large dollar amounts are we're adjusting the way it is in the budget for the State and Local Fiscal Recovery Act or recovery funds. Slough Rough, which is basically ARPA monies, and really the plan isn't changing. Just how we're doing the accounting is for the public's benefit. We're doing 1.36 million this year in revenue replacement dollars. I could go on a long diatribe about how that works, but I will keep it short. And then in Fund 10, $2.2 million on health and safety salary reimbursement. Fund 11, $1.7 million on health and safety salary reimbursement. And by the way, that's pretty much very similar to the way 2022 budget looks next year. We're going to be doing something similar with those Slough Rough funds. We're adding grants into the budget that have been approved in this meeting at one point or another, but they haven't yet been put into the budget. The Round 20 ski grant we've been receiving money from the different partners on that. It's a co-op grant and spending that. Weed grant, weed department grant. Not the weed. This is not Mesquite or Colorado. Just so they can buy chemicals for in noxious weeds. A couple of FIG grants that you approved for Mike. We're adjusting the indigent defense grant that was a mid-year adjustment that was approved by the state and this body. And the rural county grant that Danny Stewart has been that he applied for and has been doing for $200,000. And that he tells me we should be able to get all of that money expended in the month of December. So we're adding Cove Mountain 1 and 2, all of the incentive payments, and then the rebates and all of that in our Fund 61. There's a lot of dollars that flow in and out. A lot of it hits a lot of line items to add those two projects. They were not budgeted. This is the first year of those solar projects, so that's why we're adding those in. Election equipment, we're adding $44,000 to the election equipment budget. We've got some state funds. I don't know if there's a quick 2-sentence explanation on that, John. I think the commissioner's aware.
That was a delayed reimbursement for equipment that we had purchased in prior budgets. They had a change of staff at the Lieutenant Governor's office, and that had sat, and so that kind of came in.
So we'll need to have that adjusted for as the year finalizes.
recall that I got back with you, but those were federal dollars.
Okay, and I'll need the
Able to confirm that with them. Yeah.
CDIF. Yeah. I'll need that number. Landfill, we're adjusting, and these are just the high level stuff, over $10,000. Landfill, vehicle ops, we've had that's our basically our maintenance line item in the landfill budget. We've had some very large ticket items that have had to be repaired this year. We're adjusting that up $60,000 to deal with some of the large things, like we had the transmission go out on one of the compactors. That's really unfortunate. We know that as we have, these departments, road department stuff, where we have some of these big ticket items that happen in maintenance, that we know that we're going to have to adjust it if that happens. But
that big equipment is expensive to fix.
Yeah, it's very expensive. I have some large fund balance transfers to the capital projects fund, specifically for the jail. We're transferring $1.7 million from Fund 11 and up to $4.5 million from Fund 10. The reason I say up to is because I have to kind of see how the year settles out, and we transfer some excess fund balance. This is us just setting aside money towards the jail, towards the new jail. There was a couple of things that I adjusted due to the inflation that has hit us, that has been kind of across the board. Vehicle fuel, as we know, that the cost of fuel across the country has jumped way up. This was going to put us into a problem area with a lot of our departments that are heavy on fuel. So basically what I did is I went through and I looked at any of the departments that were going to go over on fuel, and I made adjustments to all their fuel budgets just because of the cost of gas. That's not something that, we want them to do their job, and if gas prices double, we want them to be able to still be able to do their job. Also related to inflation, I adjusted the jail's food budget. Cost of food has gone way up. The jail looks like it's going to go over pretty significantly there. And Council on Aging, we had enough of an adjustment that we did last year that they're going to have been able to be okay without adjusting theirs. But we are adjusting jails. As we're well aware, and we've talked a lot about mid-year salary adjustments, this is now I'm adjusting all of the salaries and wages line items so they don't go over because of the salaries and wages adjustments that were done in August. The annual effect is about $1.2 million, but because we did it mid-year, the total effect this year is approximately $700,000. That's going to be split between all the salaries and wages line items in all the departments. This morning when I handed Marilyn the cheat sheet, she says, well, that's a lot of adjustments. Well, by the time you adjust the fuel in all these departments and salaries and wages and all it starts to add up as far as number of line items, even though it's just one thing we're adjusting. Legal fees in Iron County Community Development Renewal Agency. We have a lot of projects that Adam Long is working on this year, and so our legal fees are higher than we adjusted, more than, I can't remember what the actual adjustment is, but it's more than $10,000. That's why it's on this line item, and I'm adjusting it $15,000.
And to clarify, on individual projects,
and they're paid for by the companies. Is that what you were going to say? I just hadn't got there yet.
Sorry.
They're funded by the companies that are doing the project. That doesn't come out of the county's pocket. I'm also adjusting all of the incentives and rebates in ICC DNRA to the actuals. We don't know until November what the actual payout's going to be when we finally get the final calculations done for every one of these tax areas. And finally, the other item over $10,000 was the PRCA rodeo expenses were higher than we budgeted. We had a larger rodeo. We had a larger purse. We had I think probably maybe the biggest rodeo on record. I don't know. So we had the equivalent revenue on the other side was also high, but I needed to adjust it so we didn't go over on Fund 27 for the Fair Fund. So that's my summary. I don't know if the commissioners have any questions before you turn it over to a public hearing.
I don't have a question. Dan and I talked about this before, so I'm going to ask for another budget adjustment. The Chamber of Commerce. I sit on the Cedar City Area Chamber of Commerce board, and there's been there's been a concept that they've been working on for quite a while, and they've just got it to. They didn't have the ducks in a row prior to our budget hearing time. So the project is they're forming what they're calling the Big Chamber. It's the Beaver, Iron, and Garfield County chambers. And let me kind of, I got Chris to, I said, you send it to me so it makes sense. So I'm just going to read this from Chris. Let me get to the, well, all right.
Chris McCormick.
This is Chris McCormick with the Chamber. So basically what this is going to do, the Chamber will provide ongoing training and business resources to help strengthen the businesses in each of these counties. We will spend a full day each month in each of these counties to provide training, learn about their needs, and help promote the businesses in each of these communities. The following organizations will travel with us each month to assist in our efforts: the Small Business Development Center, Southwest Technical College, Women's Business Center, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and World Trade Center of Utah. We'll also serve as a collective voice for issues that concern each of these counties. In addition, we'll monitor legislative issues on the state and federal level in an effort to help keep the business community in each county informed. Lastly, we will put together a big business magazine that promotes all three counties. So basically the ask from the Big Chamber, they're asking from Iron County, from basically, I can't talk today, basically general fund monies. They're asking for $5,000 yearly for 5 years as seed money to get this up and running. The Beaver County Commission has already approved $10,000 per year for 5 years. Garfield has approved $5,000 per year for 5 years. Garfield County Travel Council approved $5,000 for 5 years, and Cedar City Bryan Head Tourism Bureau has approved $5,000 for 5 years. So their ask for Iron County for general fund monies would be $5,000 yearly for 5 years. It says, we fully expect this chamber to be self-sustaining by the end of 5 years. The Big Chamber does not replace the Cedar City Chamber of Commerce or any other chamber that may exist in any community in these three counties. If there is an existing chamber in a community, a business will need to join that chamber before they can join the Big Chamber. The County Commission in Beaver will assign 2 people to serve on the Big Chamber. On the Big Chamber board, 1 person that represents tourism and 1 person that represents the County Commission. Garfield County will have Phelan Owens from the Tourism Bureau and Caden Figgins from the Office of Economic Development on their board. Iron County will have Kaylee Pickering from the Tourism Bureau serving on the board, and we would ask that Commissioner Mike Blake serve on behalf of the County Commission, as he is already familiar with how the chamber runs and serves on our board. That's kind of skipping around, but that's the ask. Basically, the Cedar City Chamber has become pretty efficient and has gotten. They do a really good job. They recognize that some of these surrounding counties have some challenges, and so they want to get together and help the region succeed. So that's the ask from us, and I wanted to bring that up prior to our public hearing. So if there are any questions or comments on that, but that would be my ask to add to the list that Dan just gave.
So Mike brought this up on Friday, and I said the best time to do it, because it hasn't been in what we have had available for the public to inspect, is to bring it up before the public had a chance to talk, so the public could address it if they wanted to. And then you guys will make your comments before you vote, whether you want to add that to it or or adopt it the way it is.
Today or in today?
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is adding it.
Agenda item for that.
No, well, we're talking about adding it to the current year budget.
2021.
But just know that it would be a 5-year You know what I mean?
5
I mean,
years.
there's nothing to say that future commissions would have to do it, but this would be the first year would be 2021.
A
2022
commitment.
would be the second year, so 5-year thing. This would give them seed money to have an agency. What would their ongoing revenue be, or would they? It would be based on whoever businesses join and pay their dues.
Yeah.
That's how these things are funded.
They also do
Grant money and
They
stuff.
also do fundraisers. The Cedar Chamber does several fundraisers throughout the year, and they'll organize Big Chamber.
Big Chamber, not to be confused with Big Tobacco and Big.
Big Pharma.
Yeah.
So now we just go to public hearing now, correct? Now we'll go to public hearing, and then after public hearing, we can discuss anything else prior to voting.
And then you'll have agenda items 7 and 8 for adopting the 2021 budget amendments and the 2022 final budget. So
Okay.
that's when you'll actually do the voting on it.
Okay. All right. So Chair declares public hearing on agenda item number 2 open to discuss amendments to the 2021 budget. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Okay. Chair declares public hearing closed. So would conversation about my proposal, is that better served at the time of voting? And okay.
Well, I think you've described what it is, and then before the vote happens on both 7 and 8, you're wanting to not retroactively, but have the 2021 be the first year of the 5.
Yes.
So you'd want to talk about that in both, if you do.
Excellent.
You have to add into this next year during an amendment because we've already had the public.
So just 7, not 8. Then just the amendments, and then talk about the final budget.
Yeah,
you would
because
have
this
an
wouldn't
amendment
have
next year.
This wouldn't have anything to do with the 2022 budget.
Okay.
We're gonna have to add it in with an amendment in it next year.
Right.
And this just kind of came up. We just asked Mike just last week. Hey,
Yeah,
can we do that?
there's been this big ongoing discussion, but they didn't have it quite ready, and then all of a sudden they had it ready. So I said, well, I don't know how we squeeze this in. We've already had our budget, everything else. So I talked with Dan, and this was the solution of how to make it work. So let's move on to public appointments. Item number 3 is public comments. There's a 3-minute time limit per speaker for public comment participants. Should not repeat others' comments. Only for items that are not agendized and no items related to the commission's role as an appeal board. Comments should be directed to the commission. No attacks on other people's character. And we'll limit any public comments to 3 minutes, if there are any public comments. Please state your name for the record. And
Brandon Hunter. I just want to report on our public and private partnership on our agricultural GPS tower that we put up. It is up and running, and we have 2 farmers on it now, and it is available now for Cedar Valley and Parowan Valley, and it is no cost. So the partnership is the farmers supplied the equipment equal to about $20,000, and the county allowed us to put it on their property on Summit Hill, which services both valleys. Speaking of Dennis, he is quite protective of the tax dollars, I will tell you that. So if he did any money for a snowplow, you know that it was thought out well. He is. But without his help and Commissioner Cousins, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So I just wanted to report that that is up and running, and there are more people that are planning to get on it here in the near future. But it will very, very much help the smaller family or the smaller farmers in the valley to be able to use that at no extra cost to them.
Brandon, could you elaborate on what that does?
Basically, it's a GPS system for tractors for planting and cutting that is a base station. So instead of using the satellites up in the sky, it uses the satellites and a base station, so you can create a home base and eliminate some of the subscription fees. It does cost some money to update your equipment, but once you've updated it, there's no more cost to them. But it is the system for that makes the tractors be able to be accurate within about half an inch as they run.
Is that all?
You don't.
Is there any way to
don't
tighten that
overplant.
up?
You don't plan on a roll that you've
Plant,
already gone
you
on.
burn a lot less fuel because you're not double tracking stuff. It's very, matter of fact, when we did our cost analysis, at least at our farm, just one of the systems that cost $20,000 paid for itself within 1 year, just on laps around the fuel, between fuel and labor.
Well, that's
So
awesome.
they pay for themselves, but
Does
they
it
are
work with
expensive.
all platforms of equipment?
It is not. This one's specific to one manufacturer because of the distance that it has to go. The globe that we have on there is for John Deere systems. You can adapt them to other tractors. You can buy an adapter, but the reason we went with this one is because it's got a longer frequency radio that goes, right now the test we've had, it's on Summit Hill and it is working with 100% accuracy on the other side of Quichapa.
Wow, great.
So
'Cause that was a question whether it would work right over there.
Yes.
And it is.
It works great.
That's awesome.
So
Who knew that farmers were that tech savvy?
I didn't.
Who knew?
It's like anything else.
It is. That's a
Up or
way to.
fall behind. But
Yep.
this will help a lot. It's the system. There's people that need it, but you can have one person sign on to it or 100. It doesn't. The system doesn't care either way. So the initial cost is up front. So the smaller farmers who couldn't afford it now will be able to use that system and not have to. The only impact they might have is any maintenance that comes up that would be spread between all those who are hooked on.
Does their equipment come equipped to receive that signal, or do they have to add
Can add.
equipment to
They'll
their-
have to add their own stuff.
Are they
Most of
excited about that?
Yeah, a lot of them are. If you start figuring the savings over time, like say it's upfront, especially this system is very expensive, but just updating their equipment is fairly expensive, but it does pay for itself over time.
And you say yours did in the first year?
Yes.
Wow.
Because, if you're on a swather around the field, if you can eliminate one pass every pivot track for every
Saves
field,
A lot of fuel.
or
Every cutting,
cuttings
yeah.
on a swather, a rake, and a baler, if you start adding those laps up, it adds up really fast. It's a lot of fuel and a lot of labor that gets cut.
Do they have this out in Burrell?
They do,
They do.
yeah. The John Deere dealer out there offers the same
There's
thing.
that.
They just didn't have it in this valley, and we were having a hard time. We had it on a water tower, the Conservancy District's water tower, but the problem we had up there is it was intermittent power. And once it kicks out, you lose your signal and you lose your base, and you got to start over. This now is on solid power. Once you set up your field, you never set it up again, and it stays accurate all the time. And this way,
that
it
saves
serves both
time, too.
valleys. We've done tests. It does actually run clear down into closer to the buckhorn a little bit, but not all the way. But it does service quite a bit of both valleys, and it's very value added. So thank you for the partnership that you've done and the help that you've gotten. So any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate it. All right. Seeing no other public comments, let's move on to agenda item number 4. Ryan Riddle, discussion and possible approval for 2021 FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant for a fire engine pumper and tender combination.
Morning, Commissioners. Appreciate your time, and thanks, Paul, for following up with Mr. Ney on the bees out to Burrell. I had talked to him, and much the same, got the same information from him, so appreciate the follow-up there. What I'm proposing is the ability to move forward on a grant to replace a fire. Actually, we're replacing 2 pieces of apparatus in Burrell. One is a 1976 pumper that is no longer serviceable. The other one is a 1984 water tender that is no longer serviceable as well. The intent is to apply for the FEMA AFG Assistance to Firefighter Grants. That grant is open currently. and we'd like to apply for a pumper tender, and we're looking at about $650,000 worth of equipment. And that pumper tender would, like I said, replace those two pieces of apparatus and bring the safety standards and standard for firefighting equipment up to snuff, up to standard for the Burrell Fire Department. Any questions?
So would this be what percentage will they pay, the grant?
The grant, we have a 5% match, and I've been working with the auditor's office on the grant. Dan's actually the one that'll submit the grant. I'm just the grant writer, but we do have a 5% match on that grant.
Very good.
Okay.
95%
It's pretty good, especially to help us in the West Valley.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Really need it.
Yep, much needed.
All right. Call for motion.
It's my turn. I'll move to approve the 2021 FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant for a fire engine pumper and tender combination in the West Desert.
Second.
Burrell.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move forward. Ryan's also here for number 5, discussion and possible approval for a 2022 application for Firehouse Subs Grant for rescue and extrication equipment.
Thanks again. So this grant is awarded through Firehouse Subs. We do have a Firehouse Subs in Cedar City. They allow the application up to 50 miles from one of their stores, which makes it eligible for Newcastle and Burrell, because of their response areas come well into that 50-mile radius. And what we're going to be requesting is 2 pieces of extrication equipment, one for each one of those departments. We're looking at about $14,000 per piece of equipment, and it'll help with some of the current equipment that's outdated and out of serviceability. So those grants they do have a cap to them. They like to see about $20,000, so we're below the cap for the grants. And like I say, we'll be writing 2 of them, one for Burrell, one for Newcastle. And there is no match on that. So we're looking at about $14,000 per grant, $28,000 total between the 2 entities for 2 pieces of rescue and extrication equipment.
Nice.
And if you remember, we did budget for Burrell, Newcastle,
Right.
to get a new one. So if we can get this under grant, that'll save us the dollars that we were going to pay out of pocket. I thought it was
Very good.
Burrell.
Good job.
Newcastle requested the extrication
No,
equipment.
that's right.
The new standard for extrication equipment, this is actually battery powered. And so the fire departments will have a continued need for the hydraulic backup, but this battery powered equipment is actually stronger and can do more than the current hydraulic system that's being utilized in both those departments right now. So
They've come a long way with that, haven't they?
much faster and much more efficient. So it's very impressive. Cedar City has been using the electronic, they call them hydraulics, for several years now with a lot of success. So it'd be a great asset to the West Desert. Any other questions?
Okay. No.
I'd move for approval of the 2022 application for Firehouse Subs grant for rescue and extrication equipment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
I'd just like to say I appreciate Ryan. He not only helped me with the recent conference, but he's really taken this West Desert under his wing, and I think it's going to help him strategically. But some of those folks, they're going to have better training. They're going to get some pay. Their facilities are going to be improved. I think we're going to have a lot better resource for the folks that live out there. Appreciate that from Ryan.
Thank you, John. It's my pleasure.
While you're here in Reid, where are we at with the fire station, Reid? The process in Newcastle.
Ready to order the building. Lester's been preparing bid specs from the architect, so we're ready to go for that.
So it'll be put out to bid soon?
Yes.
Nice.
Then we can order the building, and then we'll schedule another contract to erect the building and do the concrete work as soon as we know when the building will be here.
And we're trying to get that done in December, the ordering of the building and paid for. Just wanted to say, this is, I mean, corporate America, right? Let's give a round of applause, not just metaphorically, to Firehouse subs. They really do put their money where their mouth is. The sheriff's department goes after grants. You know, it's rare to have a corporation that really does what it's not just a marketing pitch. They really do this stuff and make grants available. 0% match, and the money like literally goes right in the community. It's a really cool program. So if you're hungry and you need a sub, go there.
Plus, they have some of the best brisket around.
You truly are saving a lot of lives. That's
Yeah.
pretty neat.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for the kind word, John. It's my pleasure to service those
Thanks, Ryan.
those people of Iron County. So
We sure
thank you, Ryan.
appreciate. I appreciate you.
Thanks. Marilyn, number 6. Discussion and possible approval of an agreement with Parowan City regarding the transfer of Fairground parcels to Iron County. Parts of Assessor's Parcel Number A-82 and C-933-4.
You're going to read that?
Yes. And I'm sorry. She asked me to read that, and I passed it over. I forgot.
I'm going to just talk for a minute and talk about the history about what happened with the, I guess, in the past many years, Parowan City has actually come to the commissioners before and asked them to take over the fairgrounds because it was a lot for them. They're a small town, didn't have the resources, and I heard one of the comments that went back to Parowan was, we what was it? Now I got COVID brain.
I'm telling you.
Why would we take it over? It's such a good deal for us, is what the commissioner said back to him. But you know, the county needs to step up. Most of the time, in most of the counties, the county owns that property. They put the money toward their fair and their other entities. So we needed to step up. And so when we heard rumblings over there that they needed to put their funds in other places, you know, we went to the Parowan City Council on August 12th and September 23rd. Visited with them about what they were thinking, what we were willing to do. That was just the initial things that we talked about. Then Parowan had their public hearing on October 28th, and it's hard to do these kind of things in government. You just don't blat it all out, and you have to do certain ways that you do government things, and so it's kind of hard that way. Anyway, and so then after they had their public hearing, we put together a committee. We started working and hammering out all the details. How big? What's the amount of acreage, and of course Iron County owns the building, the fairground building, and the property there, but all of the property around it was Parowan's, and of course Iron County has put a lot of money into the fairgrounds over the years, bleachers, buck and shoots. I mean, a lot of money, and so, you know, we really did need to step up and take this over and pay for the maintenance and ongoing thing with that. So John has been meeting with us and with that committee, and he started by writing up a proposal, and then it went to our attorney, back to the other attorney, back and forth.
It got longer for some reason.
Yeah, it got a lot longer. Well, you know how attorneys always. But anyway, if he would read that,
Okay.
and then we'll show a couple of. Or do you want to do that first?
It's up to you.
Do you have those right there?
Yeah.
We'll just show the lines that we've drawn for the So across the top of the, see, that's the line. That's the racetrack right there. So across that, we're going to pull that part of that racetrack out so that we can.
That dark line is the new
Is
proposed
the
boundary.
new proposed boundary, and it will be able to. We'll have a lot of parking. We'll be able to do a lot of the parking in that area. That we'll pull that racetrack out, and it isn't being utilized, and we may as well do that. This is the rendition that Mr. Larson did for us, and just kind of shows the new venues we'd like to put in, the new barn that we'd like to do, more concession area, future stalls, amphitheater, just some fun things. And I do have to, when John first came in and said,
I wasn't to the first several meetings.
and he said, "Are we doing this right now?" And I said, "No, this is the 20-year version." So over the years, we plan on improving and that type of thing. But for now, we'll do what we can as our budget, allows us to. But we're really excited about the prospects of being able to fix it up and do some fun new things in the future. So
There were a lot of positive discussions. A lot of the folks from Parowan came and had a lot of good comments. We had some fun meetings and maybe some irreverent ones. If you're going to have to do something like that, you just will have a good time, right?
Yep.
And would you like me to read it now, or do you want to? Okay.
Yes.
All right, bear with me, please. Fairground Transfer Agreement. This Fairground Transfer Agreement is entered into this 13th day of January 2022 between the following entities: Parowan City, Utah Municipal Corporation and Body Politic, and Iron County, a Body Politic. Whereas Iron County and Parowan City have jointly participated in the Iron County Fair and Rodeo each year for several decades, with each entity providing various avenues of support through financial, property, and personnel services. Whereas Parowan City is desirous that the Iron County Fair remains in Parowan City as the county seat. Whereas the Iron County Fair has traditionally and historically been located in Parowan City for many decades. Whereas both Iron County and Parowan City desire to assure its continued success as it provides significant family entertainment to all citizens and guests of Iron County. Whereas both Iron County and Parowan City desire that the Iron County Fair is successful each year and continues to grow to meet the community's needs. Whereas there is no desire to relocate the Iron County Fair from its current location, being the existing Iron County Fairgrounds in Parowan City. Whereas Parowan City currently owns part of the land on which the fairgrounds reside, and both Iron County and Parowan City have been responsible for maintenance of many of the fairground buildings and structures. Whereas Iron County has the financial means and the desire to increase the use of the fairgrounds and facilities located thereon, and owning the underlying property along with the fairgrounds would allow it to be a valuable part of the existing Iron County Parks and Recreation system. Whereas Iron County is in the process of making substantial improvements to the fairground grandstands and desires to continue to maintain and upgrade current facilities, which will increase attraction and use of the facilities. Whereas neither Parowan City nor Iron County are desirous that ongoing expenses such as utilities, operating expenses, fees, etc., be subsidized by either party. Whereas, there's 3 more whereases, increasing events and visitation to
the
the
attorneys.
For whom we're very appreciative. Whereas increasing events and visitation to the fairgrounds throughout the year would increase tourism spending and subsequent revenues for Parowan City and Iron County businesses and make use of the facilities more competitive with neighboring counties. Whereas, due to the economies of scale, efficiency, and capabilities, with the agreement that Iron County will continue to operate the annual fair and rodeo in Parowan City, which is one of Parowan City's major events, whereas no foreseeable material harm will impair Parowan City if the balance of land whereupon the fairgrounds resides that is currently owned by Parowan City be transferred by recorded deed to Iron County as shown on Exhibit A and more particularly described on Exhibit B, subject to certain terms and conditions as set forth hereafter. Now, therefore, for good and valuable consideration, the sufficiency of which is hereby stipulated, Parowan City and Iron County hereby agree as follows. The recitals are hereby incorporated in by this reference and expressly made a part of this agreement. Transparency. A. The process of negotiations and discussions shall be transparent and open to public scrutiny. Iron County and Parowan City will or have already provided opportunities for the public to comment on the transfer per Utah Code annotated UCA 52-4. Description of lands to be transferred, preparation of deeds, lease back. The land to be transferred by deed is shown on Exhibit A and is more particularly described on Exhibit B. Said exhibits are attached hereto and incorporated by this reference. B. The land exhibit identified in Exhibit C is a certain portion of the parking area being transferred to... Oh, I think we struck this part. The land identified in Exhibit C is certain portion of the parking area to be transferred to the county, which Parowan City reserves a perpetual lease to utilize for parking to service its recreational complex. Parowan City and Iron County shall jointly fund maintenance of the perpetual leased area. And I'm not sure how I missed this paragraph. So in our discussions, and correct me if I'm wrong, I guess it's just you, Mayor-elect, we had discussed the fact that we weren't sure exactly what the parking would be, so Weymouth had wanted a specific deed from an easement from Iron County to Parowan City
For the joint parking.
for that joint parking.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone opposed if I just strike that entire paragraph? We have a mutual access agreement that basically says, which I will eventually read. And I mean, this is like 8 pages. I can keep reading, but
Yeah, I don't know that.
Okay.
Unless everybody needs to hear it. They can
I'm on
get
page
a copy.
2.
They can get a copy of it.
Okay.
From
And I think, I mean, this is something we've gone
over
we,
and over.
We as the commission were involved in the process along with representatives from Parowan City, as well as some other private entities. And we spent a considerable amount of time last week reviewing this verbatim ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum.
And a lot with the attorneys.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah,
I don't know that we need to read the entire agreement.
Okay.
Into the record.
All right.
Yeah.
But we had made that one little change, and if you that's that sub B, we could probably remove that unless Parowan City would like a specific easement for the parking. This was see, now we're in the weeds, and I don't want to be in the weeds. On the map here, there was discussion of a future area here, and my understanding was, and I don't know whether Justin made it to any of those meetings, but that this area here might be specifically outlined as an easement. But what we had discussed was all of the parking is mutually beneficial to all the activities, regardless of who's putting them on. We had talked about a little trail or something that goes between parking lots to support both ways. Any comments on that?
Mainly the goal was just to be able to access the parking for either venue.
Okay.
It's easy to park people.
All right.
So down the road, we didn't have that as being an issue.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So-
I don't see that as a problem where we have
And that intent is clearly stated in the agreement in
Further.
several places. And so, with your permission, I would like to remove Exhibit C, which we don't have a legal description for yet, and we don't even have a definition for, because
Yeah,
actually that's not the spirit of what we were after.
until we get to that point where we make that extra parking in that, and you guys do your recreation center. I'm not sure that we'll know exactly where we need that access, but there will be one, I'm sure.
So maybe.
Sure.
Oh, so again, I actually think it would be best, and this is just my opinion, but that we kind of maintain that spirit of conviviality, there's your thesaurus word, of being able to benefit, to have everyone benefit from all the facilities. There are discussions about, as future growth happens, that Iron County and Parent City will discuss things like trails, infrastructure, fences, and those kind of things, and have it be a cooperative effort. It will be memorialized in the agreement. That was one of the concerns that Justin Wayment had.
We've always worked very well together,
Yeah.
and I don't see that a problem with that.
Maybe what I'll do instead of reading the whole thing is I'll just go through the different sections. So we had that section on lands to be transferred. We have a section on inventory, continued storage, right of first refusal. Basically, we inventoried the non-appurtenances, tables, chairs, an old tractor. We talk about the fact that Parowan City shall have the right of first refusal if we demolish a building or dispose of any of those items. We talk about fee structure, that Iron County will assume management of the fair building and the fairgrounds no later than May 1st, and that is so that we can get the staffing in place. Parowan City is good enough. They're on a fiscal budget year, so that actually works out well for them. They'll be approaching the end of their fiscal year, and hopefully by then we'll have someone in place. We talk about maintaining the fee schedule as it is. We talk about for 1 year, and then having it reasonably priced to cover expenses only for Parowan activities such as City Rec and other Parowan activities. We talk about a fee schedule that meets the needs of the expenses, including personnel and utilities, so that we're not subsidizing the operation of the building. We talk about grandfathered events. There were 5 of them: Sub for Santa, Christmas in the Country, Parowan Birthday Celebration, the Parowan Marathon, and the annual swap meet, which has been hit and miss. But those 4 are memorialized in the agreement that will be grandfathered with no fee. After a period of 10 years, those grandfathered events will be reviewed by Parowan City and Iron County. I will read this section. This is the mutual access part. Both Parowan City and Iron County agree to grant mutual access to service any utilities or infrastructure on the land described in Exhibit B, which is the legal description, owing to the intertwined nature of the fairgrounds and the Parowan City Recreation Complex. Any such activity shall be communicated and coordinated so as not to interfere with the beneficial use of the fairgrounds. We talk about utilities and that we won't subsidize either way. Iron County will do our own trash collection, just like we do with the other Parowan buildings. We talk about access to the existing clinic and home there, and we will grant an easement for that, which Steve Woolsey has prepared. We talk finally about the land reverting to Parowan if the fair is relocated, and that was one of the major points which Commissioner Cousins talked about the last time we had this discussion. I had a discussion called severability, and now that is 9 sections of law governing waiver, savings clause, presumption, entire agreement, further action, good faith, counterparts, recorded memorandum, but mostly those are boilerplate legal items that were added afterwards, and that's it. Anybody still awake?
Very good.
All right.
Has Parowan City approved this yet, or are they waiting for us to approve?
So it's on our agenda today, and then it's slated to be on the January 13th agenda for Parowan City. And I would suggest 2 things: one, that we strike that subsection B under description of land section, and then Reid, I have now since forgotten what you told me. What was the phrase that we need to?
It needs to include the execution of a notice of approval.
Notice of approval.
That's a state-required recording document that goes with the deeds that authorizes the lot line adjustment when 2 parties agree to move a mutual boundary. It needs to be accompanied by a notice of approval.
Okay.
And we can help prepare that through our office.
So we would ask then that if you move to approve the agreement, that you would strike section B under description of lands, and then ask or move that a notice of approval be recorded concurrently with the deeds. Is it concurrently, or is it attached there too? Attached to the deeds. Is that right, Carrie? No, it records before it. Okay. Yeah, recorded. So okay, concurrently then, not attached.
We was going to try to get it done before the end of the year through Parowan and us, and I can understand Parowan wanted to wait because they have a new mayor coming in, and that's excited for them to be able to take that on, and they didn't want to do anything underhanded or anything like that. So we're excited that Molly will be in there, and we'll be working with her. So it'll be great.
Okay, we'll call for a motion.
All right, I'll go ahead and move to approve the agreement with Parowan City regarding the transfer of the Fairground parcels to Tarn County as listed in the agenda. And as a side note, to strike section B, and then also as
under the description of land section.
Under the description of land section, and then also we need to provide, as Mr. Reid Erickson noted, that we need to provide a notice of approval to be executed with the agreement. Is that correct?
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is approved.
Thank you for all the hard work, everybody.
That's fantastic.
It's a good one. Number 7, Resolution 2021-11, adopting the 2021 budget amendments. Invite Jessen back to the stage. All right. And any other discussion about the amendment that I proposed?
So can I ask, where did that come from? I mean, was it the other counties felt like they needed some help, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
The other counties. And this is the way I understand it. I wasn't involved in the whole process. Beaver and Garfield County, through their economic development, a lot of this came about due to economic development, felt that they needed something to help bolster their current businesses as well as make it more attractive to attract new businesses and to strengthen the economic development in their areas. I think after it sounds like a lot of it went into this. This is what they came up with. Was knowing that especially the other counties, they don't have the resources to necessarily.
They are smaller counties. I know we run into this quite often with different things that we're involved with those smaller counties. They have a lot of public land, so they don't have the resources that like Iron County has.
And so that was the the theory behind it, is with a more structured Chamber of Commerce that covers those and is able to bring in those training resources specifically. It would bolster their economic development, which would help with their TRT, TRCC taxes, as well as attracting new businesses, be able to supply them, more jobs in their areas. This was what they came up with. And
will they come to our facility to do training too then? Will that allow them to do that, or will they go to them? Do you know?
Both.
Oh.
Both. In fact, they plan on 1 day a month traveling, I believe 1 day a month traveling to each of the entities and providing, and they gave me a list of those people who would be helping with the training.
Is there overlap with UAC, with being a member of UAC, all of us with the economic development in that entity, that we're creating another kind
government?
I don't know. I get it. I don't know. And Danny was supposed to be here today to talk about another issue, and he was going to kind of weigh in on this, but he's recovering from an illness, and so he's not here today.
Chamber of Commerce's don't have a lot of interaction with UAC, but the economic development people do.
Right.
Typically
Yeah.
speaking, Chamber of Commerce is more of a city thing, you know. So
Do they do a lot with the league? I think
they do.
I don't know. I don't know.
This just caught me off guard because I've never heard of this.
Well, and
I haven't had a chance to vet it.
Yeah.
And I literally got the email Friday afternoon. I talked to Chris McCormick. I knew that this project's been moving forward, but I haven't been involved in any of the planning of it, and so
What I'm wondering is if maybe we just approve this for the first year and then have some vetting and some time to look at it.
Or is it?
Well, and I don't know that I don't even.
It's a 5-year thing.
I don't even know that this is a rush. I mean, the only reason we brought it up today was
to put it in the
just
budget.
to put it in the budget because we've already had the public hearing on the 2022 budget, so it wasn't appropriate to have it in that 2022 budget discussion. You know, is the only reason it came forward today.
But if you wanted to ruminate on it and have 22 be the first year, if you decide to do it, you know, through a budget adjustment, you know, you could do that. Give yourself some time to.
And I don't think there's a problem with that at all.
We would just
I
be.
think I would feel a little more comfortable with that.
I mean,
just because
So I serve on the 5 county boards, you know, Board of Behavioral Health, and the steering committee, and we do, and I do appreciate our other 4 counties that work with us, and because all ships rise with the tide. I mean, you take if Zion National Park's attendance is down, it affects greatly Kane and Garfield counties' visitation, right? I mean, it's all interconnected, and so we all try to work together to help each other. And so I don't want to act like we're not supportive, but I would like to be able to vet this and maybe talk to Chris.
No, and I think that's a good idea because, I mean, I understand the concept, but I haven't gotten into the weeds either. I would absolutely suggest talk to Chris, and he can shed a little bit more light. That's signed. It can go back.
we could meet with him and he could
absolutely.
go over it a little more and kind of tell us the history of it a little more and that.
Absolutely.
I think I'd feel more comfortable with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, let's
you too?
Well, and you're just a few weeks from the end of the year,
Yeah.
and you'd be
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at a budget
It's not
adjustment,
like,
no matter what you
if
did
they're
for
putting this
2022.
together, it's not like we could get them,
Right.
some after the first of the year, right?
Well, and I'm not sure why. I mean, because I asked him, have the other counties already approved it, and they have. I'm not sure why we didn't get it till now.
Yeah.
that was
so
unfortunate
that seems
timing.
a little different too.
So I don't know.
So if you do want time to think about it, add it to next year's budget through an amendment. You could approve.
Yeah, we'll just approve what.
Approve it as is without
on the
adding this
agenda.
into it, because the way it is in the agenda and documents
What
I
you've
gave you
advertised.
don't have it in.
Yeah. So this is just we've had a discussion, and we'll move on with the as the items listed.
And you could add it as an agenda item to talk about on a, like say in January, and you could approve it, giving, if you decide to say yes, we agree that we're going to do it, and then before you actually spend the money, wait till we do the budget amendment next year and do it or something like that. So I would suggest putting it on the agenda of a future item as a line item. And then in the meantime, do your homework on it.
Yeah. All right.
Sweet.
I can't talk today. Call for a motion on item number 7.
Okay, I move to approve Resolution 2021-11, adopting the 2021 budget amendments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to number 8, Resolution 2021-12, adopting the 2022 final budget.
This was the public hearing we did last.
Yes. Call for a motion on number 8.
Move to adopt the 2022 final budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 9, discussion and declaration of Iron County employees whose duties significantly shifted to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic for purposes of coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds reimbursement calculations. I made it without a
That was
breath.
I'm impressed. I don't think I could have done that.
It was close.
So this is similar. You remember we did this with the CARES money, where we had the ability to reimburse ourselves for revenues for health and public safety personnel, and this allows us to take the slough rough funds and reimburse ourselves for a portion of it. In order to do that, one of the things that is recommended by the Department of Treasury, and a really good idea so that we have it documented as to how we defined who, specifically which employees' duties have significantly shifted due to the pandemic. What we did last time for CARES is my proposal, what we do this time, and that is, any of those that are involved in patrol, that are involved in dealing with the public at all, are by definition included in the Department of Treasury's guidance. That their duties have shifted. Also, any employees of the jail, because they are dealing with quarantining, dealing with inmates coming in. Luckily, we haven't had any major outbreaks in our jail, but it is a process. You have to quarantine everybody that comes in, and you have to deal with it. And they've had minor issues here and there, but health and safety of the inmates is something that all of them are dealing with. So my proposal is that we identify anybody who does patrol. So maybe not office staff, administrative sergeant, but anybody who's involved in patrol sergeants down. And I think we included the sheriff last time because he does get out and patrol a little bit, lieutenant. And then 100% of the jail staff. Basically, we're just putting an asterisk by their name saying their duties have shifted. That's what we're doing. That allows us to have the mechanism that we can reimburse ourselves for salaries and wages using slough rough funds. Patrol lieutenant, yeah, and we did include Dale last time. So, but the administrative lieutenant we would exclude because he's not out with the public. So that's what we did before, and I'm just saying that we would do that again. Is just to designate them.
Hey, so you've used the acronym a couple of times today. Slough rough. SLF?
State and local fiscal recovery funds.
SLFRF.
Yeah.
Slough rough.
Slough rough.
Okay. So those there's not a space between them.
And it came from the ARPA, or American Rescue Plan Act.
We use a lot of acronyms, and I just wasn't familiar with that one. So
yeah, slough rough was one that I heard from a state auditor, deputy state auditor, and that's what everybody calls it nowadays. So that was the portion of ARPA that actually provided funding for state and local fiscal recovery funds.
Wasn't there a Muppet called that?
Probably so. Seems like their acronyms happen to be really convenient to spell something fun. So I don't know what slough rough was, but maybe that's what it is.
Should we move for approval of the declaration of Iron County employees whose duties significantly shifted to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic for purposes of coronavirus, state and local fiscal recovery funds reimbursement calculation? I couldn't do it in all one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that is approved. Number 10, discussion and possible approval of contract amendment for administrative public defender regarding contract amount, presented by Shane Manueli.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So as you know, my position is funded through the Indigent Defense Commission, and they, throughout the course of the last few years, have increased some of my responsibilities working with them. And so they provided some additional funding to my grant proposal. And so what I'm asking is we take advantage of that additional funding that they provided for my position. Originally, we discussed a potential of 10% as we looked and saw what was available through them. What I'm requesting is approximately a 5% increase to the contract amount to accommodate for some of those additional responsibilities through the IDC. The amendment was presented to the county attorney's office. They've approved that as to form. And then the modification documents, everything's been provided to the clerk, potentially for signature if that's approved today.
Any questions, discussion?
So just, so we approved the 10, right? And you're saying you want to try to do another 5? What was, I'm
No,
sorry.
so
The
we had
5?
discussed a potential 10%, but I'm only asking for 5%.
Oh, you're asking for 5.
Yeah, that's what so after all was said and done, by the time I got to them, some of the other funding that was available was no longer available.
Okay.
And so 5% was available as opposed to 10%.
Oh, I see. Okay, and that's through the state. They're
Right.
they're providing that. Got
Yes.
it, got it, got it. Okay. All right.
Okay, call for motion.
Discussion. Okay, sorry. So I will move to approve the 5% adjustment to the administrative contract for the public defender, and that would be you, Shane.
Yes.
Manuel.
Okay,
Thank you.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that is approved.
Yes.
We'll have it in our office too.
Number 11, approval of 5th District Juvenile Public Defender contract renewals for James M. Park and Candace and Reid.
And so I'll cover that as well. So Miss Reid and the Park firm, their contracts are up for renewal. They are the individuals that cover our court proceedings in juvenile court, justice court, and parental defense court. I think they've done a very good job over the course of the last few years. I know they've been with the county for a long time, and this year they're up for renewal to go for an additional 2 years to work with them. There are just a few changes to their contract. Consistent with the changes we've made previously, we took out the extraordinary expenses clause, so that would not be available to seek extraordinary expenses. We've also added a clause indicating that they would not pursue any lawsuits potentially against the county. The idea not to bite the hand that feeds you. And then the other change in this contract is for a potential increase to match the increase that was given to law enforcement and workers on the other side of the bench. And so the request is for an additional 10% with these contracts on that. Again, these have been submitted to the county attorney's office for approval as to form, and that's done and submitted to the clerk for signature.
All right, any question, discussion? Okay, call for motion.
Move for approval of 5th District Juvenile Public Defender contract renewals for James M. Park and Candace N. Reid. Do I need to say any of that other stuff, or is that
I think
was stated?
I think it's included in the document.
In the document. Okay. Very
Second.
good.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Thank you. And then I'll just grab a copy from the clerk's office.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Get that.
Thanks.
While Commissioner Blake is signing those, I'll steal just a little bit of his thunder. And number 12, Mr. Warkey wasn't able to come today, so I believe that's rescheduled for the January 10th meeting.
Awesome. Not awesome, but okay. Not awesome as in we don't care, but as awesome as in great, we'll move on. Number 13. Maria, discussion possible approval of Utah Office of Tourism grants.
Sorry about that. Okay. Here's a summary of the grant.
Thank you.
So this year we our office put in for 3 grants with the Utah Office of Tourism, which is kind of the leader of our state in our industry, and they provide opportunities for counties and cities and other nonprofits to put in and have to get matching dollars for the purpose of marketing. And so this year we put in for 3 grants. The first one is a ski marketing grant, which is to advertise the winter skiing destination here available in Iron County in the Las Vegas, Southern California, and Arizona markets for this ski season. Our partners this year are Bryan Head Resort, the Utah Office of Tourism with their grant. I'm missing somebody. Bryan Head Town also contributed to that as well at $22,000. And so our total is $337,536, and with the match from the Utah Office of Tourism of $145,536. And our county contribution would be $70,000.
Is that 70? Does that come from the?
Comes from TRT.
TRT.
Yes.
TRC and just TRT.
Just TRT. Okay. So, our second grant is a Destination Development Marketing Grant. This is with just the county contribution, with the state of Utah matching us at $101,140, and our contribution is the same. So a total project of $202,280. This is to help us update our tourism website, improve marketing in the off-season through TripAdvisor, Utah.com, streaming video, and additional billboards. So this is in addition to our regular advertising budget that we set every year.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, and then our third grant is with the Office of Tourism, in addition to Garfield County and King County, who will be our partners. And this grant is to produce a 30-minute episode on Outside TV's Venturing Out Park to Park series, which is available to 65 million streams per month. So I've attached additional information in regards to this Outside TV program, or Outside TV. It's a streaming platform. It is available on cable and dish networks, but majority of the world is starting to move over to the streaming services. So we felt like the streaming was what we were wanting to get. Generally, I would not participate in creating an episode or episodic programming because they're incredibly expensive. This one is $100,000, and that's why, without the contribution from the grant and from our partners in Garfield and King County, this is how we're able to contribute and take part in it, because our contribution is only $16,668. So our grand total for all 3 grants, in terms of all of our partners and the county contributions and the Utah Office of Tourism, is $639,816, and our contribution is $187,808. So good leverage of our dollars in doing what we are supposed to be doing, which is marketing to the rest of the world to come and visit our area. Any questions?
Are we going to make sure we get our extra $2 worth?
Yes.
Over and above Garfield and Kane?
Yeah.
Well, we're bigger.
I was like, I didn't want to put in the 50 cents. I was like, I think we can cover the $2.
$2.50.
So,
That's
I
funny.
will, John, I'm missing a partner on this summary, so I will send you an updated version of this.
Okay, I actually wrote it in. I mean, it's, yeah, but yeah.
I think because it has venturing out right there. I think I missed something when I was typing that in, so I apologize.
So this is a 30-minute episode, and is that played over and over? Like
Over
they
and
do
over
streaming?
through streaming.
Yeah.
So if it piques their interest, then
So do
people
we
can
have
watch
that?
it.
Is that made or
No.
It's not even made. This
No.
is just the initial funding for it.
Yeah, this is the initial funding. They would like to come in January. We will be their first episode that's ever been shot in the wintertime. Generally, they shoot just kind of like summer adventures. And this is their first winter
It'll be
one.
the whole county. Cedar Breaks. What will
it will?
You know what that'll entail?
It will
I'm just curious.
feature mostly Bryan Head.
Oh, Bryan Head.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but there will be a small mention of Cedar City. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
I think Bryan Head would appreciate the love.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Do we have to have approval?
Yes. Call for a motion.
Okay, I will move to approve the Utah Office of Tourism grants that Maria has outlined.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll move on to number 14, discussion and possible approval for fee changes for county parks.
So I took over the Parks Department in 2013, and we have not seen a change to our fees probably within the last 15 years. And I think it's because the county has wanted these parks to be something for the citizens to enjoy, but we probably should start thinking about a slight incremental change, just so that we can kind of keep up with some of our expenses. We have a cleaning contract, which is approximately $16,000. And then we also have, some supplies and things like that, along with an employee. Last year, our park fees through special events and park, pavilion reservations and camping, it generated about $11,000. So I would like to propose that we do a slight incremental change for the pavilions in terms of their rental, and just raise them by $10. We have a camping fee, which I am not suggesting we change at this time because it matches what we have, what the BLM has in their camping, and so we're not competing against each other. We're more or less in line. And then on special events, it would be kind of a different change, but across the board, it's been $500 to host a special event and do the application fee. And we've had some nonprofits who have approached us about possibly doing events at our parks, and the $500 fee kind of makes it so that they don't want to, it's cost prohibitive for them. So I am suggesting that we have a nonprofit fee and a profit fee. So $250 for nonprofits and $500 for profits. And that we do no fee for schools K through 12. Occasionally we have events that are done by the schools, and it would be nice that would be a good way to waive the fees. And I'm hoping with maybe having a nonprofit fee, we can attract more events to the parks. The shooting range is the next fee. So we haven't exactly had a normal fee structure for the shooting range. And so what I would like to have some consistency there. What we have done in the past is that it's been free, to use an area of the range. It's been free for the shooting clubs and the hunter safety. Since we've cleared out what was called the cowboy action area, we've made that more into a group area, which it's fenced in and kind of keeps some of the events or groups away from people who just want to go out there and shoot. And I would like to see us continue to allow hunter safety and shooting clubs to utilize that group area, because we like the idea of encouraging people to improve their shooting skills in a supervised environment, but limit that to being free just twice a month. We've had some conflicts with some of our shooting groups in which they've taken advantage of that, and we want to just kind of have it be the same across the board. So we're suggesting that we limit that to only twice a month. They could have it for free, and then $25 for additional days in the month up to 25 people. Any group over 25 must pay the group area no matter what. And we would ask that those that get it for free give it, if there is a paying event, that they would give it up if we gave them enough notice. And then anything groups, regular groups would be 20, which we've been charging them $25, and that's like for-profit club events, competitions, family reunions. We would just suggest that they pay $25 up to 25 people and $50 for anything over 26 people. And then special events, and those are when we have to close the range. We again do $250 for nonprofit, $500 for profit, free for schools K through 12, but there would be blackout dates that apply, which includes the entire month of September and October. We cannot close that range during hunting season. So
Fighting in their guns, they have to get ready.
Just cannot. And then we have the 5 Mile Vermilion Castle coming on in probably 2023. There hasn't been an established fee, but we were suggesting maybe $25 because there's no pavilion. It's just a kind of an open area, if we can get that area open.
So is that just for the larger groups in the open area, or is that for anybody using it's going to be?
It's just for the large group in the open area. So the picnic area, Mike, did you hear? Oh, we can't charge a fee for the picnic spots under our agreement.
Yeah, I would think so too.
They talked about it, but then I think
because then you can reserve it.
Yeah.
We talked about it. They came back and said, well,
so we may want to.
The Forest Service told us that we could do that.
Yeah, it seems like we might want to look at a small fee just to recoup some of our expenses.
Yeah, so I would suggest we do a day use fee of like either $5 or $10. But since it's not on here, but we have some time.
We can add it now.
Until we get it.
If you think that's, can't we?
Do we want to?
well, we've still got to get everything up.
Yeah, we got to get it up to running.
We got a really nice bathroom, so that's ready.
Yeah, we'll charge $5 for the use of the bathroom. So
there you go.
I'd probably pay that.
Single use. It takes quarters.
Swipe your credit card.
Let me look at what day use fees are in other parks, and then I'll bring that back to you before we open that park. So that's what I have for you today.
Okay. Call for motion if there's no question.
Approval for fee changes for county parks. Not the 5 Mile. We'll do that later.
Okay.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Okay, item number 15, discussion and possible approval of a declaration by the Iron County Commissioners to settle or decline the proposed opioid litigation settlement presented to Iron County and the other counties participating in litigation with various pharmaceutical manufacturers, distributors, and retailers. Sam, are you up on this one?
I can be. So there's an ongoing opioid litigation throughout the country. Iron County is one of the participants among the counties in Utah. And there's been a lot of discussion about this, especially more recently because the major players in the opioid litigation have proposed a settlement for the counties. As part of that settlement, they've brought on the state to kind of help participate and bring everyone together and be unified in the participation. Because much of the settlement is contingent upon everyone participating. And if people opt out, then it impacts what happens. But there's been a lot of discussion. Commissioner Wood and I were able to, and I believe Commissioner Blake as well at UAC were able to attend the initial meeting with USIP and the other counties, and they talked about the pros and cons of the settlement. We had our outside counsel there advising us.
There was a lot of lawyers in that
room. A lot of lawyers.
It made me pretty uncomfortable.
I think one of the major takeaways was that if you continue to pursue the litigation, then Iron County stands to potentially gain a lot of funding. However, with all litigation, there's pros and cons and risks. There's no guarantee that Iron County would even get any payment. And there's been some other jurisdictions that have not experienced any positive outcome as part of this litigation. So those were some considerations. We had thought that perhaps it might be good to continue in the litigation, but I believe the commissioners, after speaking with other county commissioners as well as being able to participate in a call to hear some of the information from other parties, what they're thinking, that the commission might be inclined to accept that settlement and be unified with the other counties in Utah, since that is the general direction that I've seen many counties go thus far. So you have both sides of it, but there's been a lot of discussion, I think, is the sum. We've been kind of pressured into a short timeline because the settlement came down just a few months ago, and we have until January 2nd to formally notice the parties in the litigation that we've accepted, but an even shorter timeline here in Utah, because if we're going to get on board with the other counties, they need to know by tomorrow. So that's where we're at right now, and the commissioners are going to need to take a vote on whether or not they should settle or not.
I just want to clarify, the attorneys that we have retained, we don't have to pay them unless there's a settlement, right?
Even if there is a settlement, that should come off the top of the settlement.
Right.
There are funds.
I'm saying by continuing
I
to...
think the state will take care of that. Isn't that what they...
Correct, but no, yeah, to your
not
point,
we're not accruing attorney's fees, is my point.
One of the, seems like some of the biggest heartburn with some, including those counties that were considering opting out to this settlement agreement with the state, was the fact that the state was going to take 50% of the proceeds. But as I've looked into it more, in the call that we got on with, UAC sponsored a call last week that we were on, and helped me understand it better. Yes, the state's going to take 50%, but a lot of that money, and I reached out to our behavioral health director, Michael Deal, and visited with him at length, and also Dr. Blodgett, who will see some of that, not a lot, but some. The state will, a lot of that money will trickle down. The state's 50% will trickle down to the counties anyway. And so it's not like we're missing out on the 50%. We're still going to be beneficiaries of that through the Department of Health, Department of Behavioral Health, administering those funds that the states get. So we're going to be beneficiaries of that money regardless to some degree. So that helped me.
We were quite concerned about that in the, when we talked about this litigation, that, why would the state get that? But it will trickle down to us, so that changed our mind. Also, in cooperation with UAC and that, for us all to agree to go in together, there's something to do with playing as a team. It would have been easy to go by ourselves, and we may have stood to gain more, but we didn't know that, and that's the unknown. This payout is over an 18-year period, which gave me a little heartburn too. I wasn't thrilled about that either, but that's the way they wanted it. Some of the lawyers were a little concerned about bankruptcy, and then none of us get anything, and that could happen. As we all know, pharmaceutical companies have a lot of money, so I really don't know whether they were trying to strong arm us that way, but after being on that Zoom call, I felt a lot better about it. A lot of our other commissioners that we've made these relationships with felt like that this was the way to go, is to go with the state as a team. So
Commissioner Wood and I and Sam last week met with Senator Vickers and visited about this as well, and that also helped me get some more information regarding this lawsuit. So
yeah, and Evan, I appreciated he was. Some of the other commissioners had indicated that they had been strong-armed by others, and he was not like that at all. I appreciated his. He said, the heartburn for him was when they go to allocate this 50%, they won't be able to. They are legally not able to give any of that money to the counties that had opted out and went by themselves. So he said that gave him a little bit of heartburn. So in all, I think it's probably the better way to go with the state on this lawsuit. So.
Okay. Call for a motion.
I will move to approve a declaration by the Iron County Commission to settle the proposed opioid litigation settlement presented to Tarn County and the other counties participating in litigation with various pharmaceutical manufacturers, distributors, and retailers.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sam, on that, do we need to draft a declaration, or is this action sufficient, do you suppose?
I believe this action will be sufficient. We'll be in contact with our outside counsel, and they'll be able to make formal notices as needed, and then they can contact us.
We'll
if
have
we need
commission
something.
minutes and everything else. Okay.
We do need to reach out to UAC today, probably. They wanted an answer by tomorrow of
So
what our
probably
decision was.
today.
You know who at UAC? Was it Brandy? Is it?
It was Steve Hunter. Was
Steve
it
Hunter?
Steve Hunter?
Hunter.
I think Steve Hunter's the one to
Okay,
contact.
I'll reach out to him.
And but today would probably be good, and then they know that where we're at. So. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 16, discussion and possible approval for a partial vacate and amended plats, lots 16 and 17, Scottsville subdivision, amended plat, amended 1612 and 1626, North Foothill Drive, Paraguna, Iron County, Utah, and the legal description is provided in this document.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is an amended plat as a result, again, of the statutory changes in last year that requires, instead of our ability to do a lot line adjustment between two lots, that if it's in a subdivision, it has to be done by an amended plat. And so that's what this is. It's an amended plat adjusting a lot line. This is a property just north of Paraguna on the east side of I-15, between I-15 and the BLM property. As you zoom in a little bit where the yellow star is, you can see there the Scottsville subdivision that runs right along the edge of the mountains over here, northeast of Paraguna. This Scottsville subdivision is half-acre subdivision, and these are the two lots that are being amended. The lot line between those two lots had a home built on the lot that you can see encroached on across the property line onto the other lot. And so the property owner actually owns both parcels. They are adjusting that lot line so that the house is clear and has the proper setbacks. And so it's able to do that through a plat amendment. This is the actual document that shows the dimensions of the property so that it has adequate setbacks and side separation on the side yards from the building so that it works. And that's all there is to it. Pretty straightforward.
Great.
Does not require a public hearing. We did send notice to adjacent property owners, but it does not require a public hearing when all of the participants are the owners of the property.
Great.
Okay.
Consider a motion.
That's me. I'll move for approval for a plat, vacate and amended plat, lot 16 and 17, Scottsville subdivision, amended plat, amended 1612 and 1626, North Foothill Drive, Paraguna, Utah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If I can just mention, can I take a second?
Absolutely.
In that regard, we have been working with Senator Vickers and Rex Ship in trying to fix that requirement. I think we mentioned earlier, part of the challenge we have when we're trying to expand a road or get a right-of-way, and it's against a subdivision that has against a subdivision. So we have to do amended plats each time that occurs. I did meet with Senator Vickers and explain the situation. He wrote an email to Senator Randall, who sponsored that bill, and he said that it was not his intent for that to be, it's kind of the fallout every time they make a law, something else makes it difficult.
Every time.
And he would entertain an amendment to that exempted conveyances that were done by dedication deeds for rights of way. So we wrote some language up and submitted that. He's given that to the attorneys group that writes the amendments for the land use, for LUDMA changes, for the Land Use Management Act changes, and he would support that language that we submitted, and that he would run that through the system, and said that he would include that in the changes that they would make this year for LUDMA. So hopefully that'll simplify that a little bit. It won't change the fact that when there's a lot line, it still needs to be an amended plat. They wouldn't go that far, but they would exempt the fact that when we're trying to expand road rights of way, we would do that through dedication deeds, and they would not require a plat
That'd help
amendment.
us a
That would
lot
be an
on
exemption.
the
Make
belt
it a
route.
lot simpler when we're trying to go out and, increase our right-of-way widths when subdivisions are already there. So that was a positive note.
Great.
Okay, good.
Thank you for your work on that.
Can I get a signature on this?
Oh, you betcha.
Then I can just leave it down for Harry Street.
All right, let's move on to number 17, Mike. Discussion and possible approval of Utah Division of Parks and Rec off-highway vehicle fiscal incentive grant for the High Desert Trail cultural analysis signage and trailheads.
Okay, this is a trail that I think I've discussed with you before about it starts down in Washington County and goes clear up to Box Elder County on the west side of the state. They where the counties have gotten together to push this along. This has been in the process probably for over 20 years. Excuse me. And finally, we've got the BLM, the Forest Service together, and the counties together to designate the trail. Part of the trail that in Iron County has to be done through a cultural, or has to have a cultural analysis on it to determine what the impacts are going to be for such a trail, and I don't see it as a problem other than just going through the process to do it, but unfortunately it is very expensive. We've partnered with Beaver County to do both counties at once, and the cost on that we put in for is $10,000 in this grant. There's also funding in that grant to purchase the trail markers that we'll mark the trails with, a kiosk that we're proposing to put into Newcastle, and then also the maintenance on the trail. This grant is going to for a grand total of $27,000. We're asking the state to come up with $20,000 on it, a little over $20,000. Our match is $7,200, which will come as part of my salary because I'm a contract employee, so I can use that money to offset the cost. And then another that $7,200 also includes volunteers to help put the kiosk in, the fence, maintain the trail, trim it, things like that. So anyway, that's what we've got.
What is the name of the trail?
High Desert Trail.
Great.
Okay. I will move to approve the Utah Division of Parks and Recreation off-highway vehicle physical incentive grant for the High Desert Trail cultural analysis, and that includes signage and trailheads.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, John, I'll have him sign that, so I've got to get that back up.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say I've got a copy right here too, so. This was the right one. There wasn't a second one that we missed?
No.
Okay.
It's
I went on a goose chase. And
sorry that puts you through all
no, it's okay. It's all right. I just wanted to make sure we had.
Maryland's excuse is that COVID.
Okay, I'll take it.
Well,
Take it.
we're going to strike number 18. So, in the past, it was consider a recommendation from the Iron County Economic Development Advisory Board concerning Utah Rural County Grant. So, in the past, the Utah Rural County Grant that our that economic development applied for yearly required a recommendation from the elected board. The grant requirements changed this year, and it no longer requires approval by the commission. It just requires a letter of recommendation from the Economic Development Advisory Board. So we don't need to do it. So
Very good.
I told Danny we wouldn't do it. So number 18 is gone. We're going to step out of our role as the Iron County Commission and convene as the Board of Equalization to handle agenda item number 19, which is a review and approve low-income and homeowners tax credit abatement applications and veterans abatement applications received between October 8th, 2021 and November 30th, 2021.
No, I'm not August.
You're not August.
Did I get that wrong, or is that?
No, she meant to put it, I'm going to present for it.
You.
Oh, okay.
I told her I would. So bear with me because this is small writing. Okay, so the changes of the reports that you received that I just gave to you is a spreadsheet that shows, in addition to her original reporting, there's been a total of $86,938.91 in additional abatements applied since October when she presented after the deadline. Of that portion, $18,492.10 is a portion that will be added to the amounts that can be reimbursed by the state. Included in your report is an abatement summary, and in this includes all of the abatements for the entire year. So for the entire year of 2021, we've abated $1,043,941.79. Of that portion, she's requested by the state for reimbursement for their portion of $194,166.20. So do you have any questions for me?
No. Call for a
Motion?
motion, please.
I'll move to approve low-income and house homeowners tax credit abatement application and veterans abatement application received between October 8th, 2021 and November 30th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that is approved. Okay, we will reconvene as the Iron County Commission and welcome our HR Director, Jenny Bradbury, to the pulpit.
Good morning. All of the items for your consideration today are in the Sheriff's Office patrol, so I'll just cover them all at once if that's okay. An internal promotion recruitment was held, and 3 of the following employees were selected to backfill vacant positions effective November 28th, 2021. Sean Peterson from Corporal to Sergeant, Brandon Kennedy from Deputy 2 to Corporal, Michael Hilliger from Deputy 1 to Corporal, and then Sam Ward was selected from the most recent competitive recruiting process to be promoted from a part-time evidence technician to a full-time benefited Deputy 1 effective December 26, 2021, which is a backfill of a vacant position. And then finally, Skylar Davis has completed the required testing to receive bilingual pay with an effective date of December 12th, 2021.
That was quick work of a mouthful.
And we
Can I say move to approve?
Absolutely.
Move to approve.
Yes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for
So
not
let
letting
it
me read that
so
again.
let it be
It's
written.
easy.
So let it be done. It's going to take me longer to write my name on those papers.
I say I'm still catching up over here.
While I'm writing my name on the papers, we'll move on to non-delegated items. We've got a couple of. Well, do we have any prairie dog matters?
Happily no.
Excellent. We do have a couple of county boards that have some vacant positions, and we've got some proposed people to fill those positions. The first one that we're looking at is the Planning Commission with the exit of Phil Schmidt.
Which we were so sad. Awesome on that board.
It has been proposed that Lane Sutherland be appointed to a position as a member of the Planning Commission.
And I might just add, I've known Lane a long time, and he's a great individual, and he worked for the phone company for many years, and I think he'll be a great asset to that board. And then
I went through school with him from probably first grade.
And the name's familiar to me, but I have no idea who he is, except for I recognize the name. But he came, and the name was brought to us by Reid, our county planner, and vetted through that process before being recommended to us. It kind of went through our planning and zoning, and anyway, came to us very well recommended. So can I get is there a motion for approval for Mr. Sutherland?
I'll make a motion to approve Lane Sutherland for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The other vacancy we have is the TRCC tax board, so the restaurant tax. We have a vacant position on there, and it's been proposed that we appoint Daniel Aiken.
Can't think of a better one.
And Daniel agreed.
Oh, very good.
He's the owner of
and
Rusty's.
Milts and Rusty's. His dad, Rusty, was on the board for a long time, and when he retired, it actually made him so that he was not eligible because he's no longer a restaurant owner. So, anyway,
change that up.
Anyway, Daniel, we had a vacation of that position, and it's been requested that Daniel fill that, and Daniel's excited to do so. So we can get a motion.
I'll move to approve Daniel Aiken to serve in the new vacancy on the TRCC board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And I'd like to just echo the sentiments about Phil Schmidt. Phil's an amazing individual, and we've so appreciated his steady hand, and 10 years he's been in there, right, Mike?
9.
9.
9. He wouldn't go 10.
He wouldn't go 10.
9 years.
We tried to get him to.
He said he was out at 10.
Phil's always good to help us with advice and serving in the community. I know he served on the Board of Adjustments for Cedar City too. Does he still serve on that? I think he does. But he's just a great individual. Appreciate his efforts.
He's just a lot of help to the county. He's just got abundant of knowledge that has helped us over the years, and we appreciate him, and I was sad to see him go.
With all of that,